What's going on, guys? Clint here, and in this video I'm going to show you how to build a multi-page reactjs application using the Gecko API. We're going to be styling the entire project with Tailwind CSS. So in this project is actually something I used on my personal portfolio as a front-end web developer. So if you're learning HTML, CSS, React, Firebase, anything like that, then there's going to be a lot of value for you in this build today. So I actually built a portfolio in Next.js where I featured this as a project, like I said, so you can check that out. I'll put a link to the description below so if you want to see how I built my portfolio. And so there's going to be a lot of really cool features in here. We'll be using context for our light theme, dark theme. There we go. And we're going to be using routes. We're using React Router DOM to navigate through different routes and different pages here. And we're also going to be using Axios to connect to the Gecko API, make all our API calls. So, and there's going to be a Firebase backend. So what does that mean? So for Firebase, we're going to be able to authenticate new users. We're going to be able to sign up a new user, then sign in with that user and store user-specific data. So we're going to be able to save these coins to like a watch list. So let me just give you a quick example, and I'm going to shrink this down here so you can see our Firebase running on the back end here. And if you say I refresh, there's no users in here, completely blank database. So what I want to do is sign up as a new user. So I'm going to sign up as test@test.com, and my password is going to be password because I'm super secure. There you go. Now go ahead, and I was wanting to save my passwords. No, thank you. So it directs us to the sign-in page. And if we refresh over here, you can see that it created our new user. And at the same time, it also created a user in our Firestore database. So let's log in to our new user here. There we go. And there we go. It directs us to our account page. You see it says welcome test@test.com. So let's go ahead and save a coin. So say we want to monitor Bitcoin. We want to have it on our watch list. What we can do, click that. And as you can see in real time, it populates into our database. You can go over to our account, and there you have our coin that we're watching. And we can delete this. You can see it disappears off our database. And this is stored here. We can sign out, sign in, and it's gonna work all the same. It will not go anywhere. So I'm gonna show you how we built this from scratch and React.js styled with Tailwind CSS. Like I said, guys, this is a perfect example as a project to put on your portfolio if you're trying to get a job as a front-end web developer. So if you're ready to build this with me, then let's get started. All right, you guys, so here we are in VS Code, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pop open my terminal here with the command backtick button, and what I want to do is we want to create our React application. So I'm just going to hop over to my desktop, and then once I'm on my desktop, what I want to do is create a React app, and I'm going to be using Yarn. If you use npm, that's cool too. So I'm going to type yarn create react-app, and I'm going to call this my crypto project. Just like that. So this will only take a minute to create our project. Okay, it says happy hacking. That means we're ready to go. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to drag over our folder that we just created. And that is the crypto project right there. So a few things, just to be clear, we're going to be working out of this source folder right here. And it has a lot of files in there that we're not going to be using. So let's go ahead and delete some of these just to clear up any confusion. So the app.css, the app.test, we're going to be grabbing this logo SVG, this report web vitals, and the setup test. Go ahead and select all of those, and let's just get rid of them. Yes, if you've already started your server, you get some errors, but don't worry about that. So let's go into index.js, and let's remove this down here. We're going to remove the import web vitals there, and then the app.js, we're going to remove all this boilerplate code here. And we don't need a class name because we're going to be using Tailwind. Then we can just delete that right there, and that means we're good to go. So we can import React from React just like that. Okay, and let's go ahead and start up our server. So control backtick button will open up our terminal again, and I'm going to say yarn start. Give it npm start for using npm, and there we go. I'm going to keep this one running so we can have something of reference here. So this should be just a blank page here, and if we type, we should be able to see our text show up over here in our application. So the first step is going to be to install Tailwind CSS. Okay, so what I want you to do is come over here and let's just go to tailwindcss.com. This is real easy, you guys. We're just going to click on the Get Started button right there. Now we're using a framework, so let's click on the framework guides. Then come down here to create React app, because that's the framework we're using. And come down here. First thing it wants us to create our project, which we have already done so. Next, we can actually install Tailwind. So just go ahead and copy that entire line. I'm just going to copy this last part since I'm using Yarn. And I'm going to open up a new little terminal to the side here. So Control B, guys, can actually open and close your side menu there, if you're wondering. So I'm going to type in yarn add, and then just go ahead and paste that in, just like so. And this will just install Tailwind. The next, we want to copy this npx Tailwind CSS init-p. We want to copy that entire line and paste it in down here. And what that's going to do is create our tailwind.config file. So it just created this file. And this is very important because we're going to be using this file a little bit here in our build. So the next step is to actually copy this right here into the content array here. So we're just going to paste that in there. And then the final step to install Tailwind is to go ahead and copy this down here. We're going to paste this into, we can close this in there. We're going to paste this in our index.css. So we can actually just go ahead and delete all that. We're not going to be using it. We can go ahead and paste our CSS. Now we can go ahead and close Tailwind here because we're done with the Tailwind website. And so Tailwind is now installed correctly and should be working. However, you won't get any, it's not going to go into effect until you restart your server. So let's go ahead and just restart our server real quick. Yes, there we go. Okay, so now to start with our build. And what I want to do first, which is kind of a pain, is I want to do the theme context, because once we get that configured, it's just going to be smooth sailing from there. So let's go ahead and do our theme context. So how we're going to do that, we're going to add some variable colors. So inside our index.css, what I want to do is we're going to have a dark, and then we're also going to have a light, just like that. Okay. So inside our dark, we're going to have lots of colors here. So what I want to have here for a CSS variable, we're going to type in -- color. It's just the -- and at this point is what I'm naming it. So color -bg primary, and this is my first color I'm going to be using. It's 2D3748, just like that. Now what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to copy in the rest of my colors here because it's quite tedious. The colors are important. You can use whatever colors you would like to use. These are pre-selected colors that I selected that work really well on light theme and dark themes here. So I'm going to go ahead and paste these in. Go ahead and pause the videos if you want to copy these exactly, or if you want to use your own, that's fine too. I'm going to put a link to this when I'm done in my GitHub, and I'll put a link to that in the description below. So feel free, if you want to clone this or anything like that, then feel free to do so. So now that we have all of our colors in here, what I want to do next is go to our tailwind.config file here, okay? And what we want to do inside this, just below this content array, we want to add a dark theme. So I want to say dark mode, and then class, just like that. Then in this theme here, inside the extend, we got to put a little comma there. Inside this extend, what I'm going to say is background color. There we go. And it's very important you copy this exactly. Okay, guys. So background color, and then we're going to have var primary, or sorry, color bg primary, just like that. Perfect. And we're going to have a comma here, and we're going to do another one here for our secondary, and we'll say var color bg secondary, just like that. And make sure you add the commas there. We're going to have a button with the same, we'll say var color bg button. There we go. And this is just some conventional naming there, you guys. So that's it for the background color. So next, what we're going to have is text color. Okay, so for our text color, we're going to have an accent here. There we go, accent. And that's going to be var color text accent. There we go. And see, we're going to put a comma there. Whoop, not module. Just like that. And then we're going to have a primary var open up. I know this is a little bit tedious, you guys, but once it is set up, it's just going to be so easy and so smooth. So it's worth it 100%, you guys. Because there's another way to do light theme and dark theme in Tailwind, but it is kind of a pain when you get to larger size projects. So So color, text, secondary. There we go. And I'm just going to paste in this last one, which is the button text here. So I'm going to go ahead and paste that in. Don't worry about this, you guys. We can go ahead and close all those. And then we are going to have one more here, and it is our border color. So just below here, we'll put another comma, and we'll say border color, just like that. And I'm just going to paste in these here. So again, go ahead and pause the video if you want to use all of these. If you want to use your own, that's fine too. So, but otherwise, you can just use these, and that'll look great. So go ahead and save, and don't worry about that, you guys. We can scroll down. Don't worry about any of those. So let's go over into, that looks good there. Let's go over into our app here, so make sure everything's working correctly. Let's go ahead and just restart the server here, just to make sure. Sometimes you just need a quick little restart. There we go. Everything looking good here. Not yet. Let's go back into our index.css file. So we're going to add a few things in here. And we're going to have some root colors here. So let's add, we're going to say root, just like that. And we'll say apply. And this is how we can add global styling in Tailwind. So we'll say BG primary, just like that. And text primary. And this is just going to be by default. Okay. And the only other global styles we're going to use, this is just a class name that I created, and this is going to be for all of our containers that you see here. So if I open this up, you can see that all the containers have a little border radius, and they're it's 1140 pixels wide, margin set to auto, and it has this little box shadow effect. So that's what this rounded div is going to be here. So inside this rounded div, what we're going to say is apply. And so I'm going to say border secondary, rounded -2xl, shadow -xl, BG primary px2, a max width. I'm going to shrink that down so you guys can see. Max width, and in here we can actually open up some curly brackets, and we open up curly brackets in Tailwind, we can give just custom values here. So width full, and I'm going to say mx auto for margin auto. And real quick, you guys, whenever I hover over this, you can see this is gives you a little preview, and what that is a plugin called IntelliSense. So I highly recommend you get that, you guys. So if you come over here, it's in, let's see, Tailwind IntelliSense. So this right here, highly recommend you get this, you guys. If you're using Tailwind, this is a must-have. So go ahead and download this and configure it if you don't have it already. So what that does is give you all the previews like right there that you just saw, and it'll save you a lot of time when you're developing. So go ahead and get all that. So okay, now that we are done with this, let's go ahead and we can close both those files, and let's go ahead and start with our theme context. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to source here, okay, and we're going to create a folder called context, and inside our context we're going to create a file called theme context.jsx.js. Either one's fine, doesn't really matter. So for our theme context, we're going to have a few things here. And if you're not familiar with context, it can be just a little bit confusing. At least it was for me. So what we want to do is import React from React, and a few other things here we're going to use. So we're going to use the use state hook. We're going to use the use effect. So we just need to import all these, and the create context, just like that. Okay. So let's give us some room here, and I'm going to close that down. So what we want to do, we actually want to check, and basically we want to have a nice feature to where if somebody comes to our website and saves our theme, we want the site to remember that. So that's what we're going to do right now. So const, we're going to say get initial theme, just like that. And this is just an arrow function that we're going to be creating here. Excuse me. So what I'm going to say is if type of window undefined and window.local storage, we'll say const stored, and this is just a variable that we're creating here, prefs equals window dot excuse me, local storage dot get item We'll just say color dash theme, just like that. Okay. Then inside here, we're gonna have another if statement. So if, and we'll say type of stored prefs equal to string. So basically, we're just checking to see if there's a value there. We're going to return stored prefs like that. And then just below here, I'm going to say const user media, just like that, equal to window.match media. And this here, we're going to say prefers color scheme dark, just like that. Oh, we're getting a little error here. There we go. Now, if that looks good. Sorry, just double checking here. I want to make sure I don't leave. This can be a little bit tricky, so I don't want to have any errors here. That's all we need to do, just right there. Now, in here, we're going to say if user media dot matches return dark. Then we'll just return, if not, we'll just return light. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video if you need to copy that down. You want to make sure you get this in here exactly. So, or if you want to clone it and copy this in there, that's fine too. So next, what we want to do is actually set up our context. So what we can say in here, so we're going to say export const theme context, create our context. There we go. And we're going to export const theme provider. And this is going to take in the initial theme that we just created. And children. And we're going to pass that in here in a moment. So we're going to be using some state. So let's go ahead and set our state here. And we'll set our state to get initial theme by default. So theme and set theme here. So in here, we'll say const raw set theme. And we're going to pass in the theme. Document element. I know this is a pain, you guys, but bear with me. It's going to be trust me, it's going to be worth it when we're done here. It's going to be so much easier. And it's going to be equal to dark. So root.class list here dot remove. Use a ternary operator here. There we go. And one more to local storage.set item. There we go. Now, just below this here, we're going to have an if statement. If initial theme, if that's true, raw set theme to initial theme, just like that. Perfect. Now, underneath here, we're going to have a use effect because we want this to run every time there's a change in theme. So we're going to say use effect. And it's not going to take in anything. We're going to say raw set theme to theme. Then very important, you guys, for our content array here, or dependency array, sorry, for our dependency array, you want to put in theme there. And then we can finally just return the theme context dot provider, just like that. And this is going to take in the children. But this is also going to have some value here. So let's just value here in 2 brackets. It's going to be theme and set theme. Okay, so I know that was a lot, you guys. Feel free, if you need to pause the video real quick and copy that in. I know that was kind of a pain, but trust me, that is going to be worth it, because now that we're going to move into some of our coding our layout, it's going to be 100% worth it, you guys. So let's go ahead and create our application, to create the meat of our application here. So how we're going to lay this out. So what we're going to have over here on the left here, so we're going to be using React Router DOM for all our routes. We're going to have multiple pages, and inside of our pages, we're going to have an account page, a coin page, a home page, and then a sign in and a sign up page. So what I want to do is go ahead and create some of those right now, and we're going to create this inside of our source folder. So what we're going to have here, I'm just going to call this route, so you can call it pages. So in here, I want to have a account page, so account.jsx. And I'm going to go ahead and just say refce just to get our functional component in there. Then we can go ahead and close that. We're going to come back to them later. And then we're going to have a coin page.jsx. refce is going to get our functional component. We can close that one. And what else are we going to have? We're going to have a home.jsx. And we're going to have a sign in.jsx. Then also a signup.jsx. Okay, so let's just get our components in here. There we go. And let's close all of these, close all of those for now. So in our app.js, okay, so in our app.js, what we want to do is probably just go ahead and configure our React Router DOM. We're going to make this as streamlined as possible, because it will take a while. This is a pretty big project that we're building here. So let's go ahead and install. So let's go down here. And what we install is React Router DOM. So I'm going to say yarn add React Router DOM. Go ahead and press enter. So in here, to configure React Router DOM, we need to do just a couple things. And what we need to do is go into our index.js file, and we actually need to wrap our entire application with browser router. So what we can do is just type in browser router, just like that. So it's giving us the option to go auto import. So just make sure that imports right there. That's all we need to do in there. Now in our app.js, what we need to do for our theme provider, which we have not done yet, we need to wrap our entire project in the theme provider. So what we can do is select this div here. I'm just going to say theme provider, just like that. And we need to import the theme provider from our theme context. So it gave us the option to auto import that, and that's what we want to do. So that is all we need to do for that step. Now we can go ahead and close this theme context like so. And the next step, let's go ahead and create our navbar, you guys. So for our navbar, let's go ahead and put this. The navbar is going to go in our app.js file, because we want it to display on all of our pages and not just the home page or the sign-in page. So we're going to have another folder over here to the left. And this folder is going to be called components. And this is where all of our components are going to live for the build. So let's create another file called navbar.jsx. So RAFCE will generate our functional component. And if you're wondering these shortcuts I'm using, the RAFCE, RCE, this is a plugin called, so it's React Redux ES7 snippets. This is it right here. So ES7 plus React Redux React snippets here. So go ahead and get that. We're going to be using that a lot in this project today as well. So, okay, so we're in our navbar here. Let's go ahead and import it in here. So what we can say here, navbar, just like that. Go ahead and auto import it. Make sure it's imported at the top if it didn't do it automatically. So go ahead and save it. It gets nice and formatted for us. So in our navbar, what we're going to do for our navbar here, and we're going to do, like I said, we're styling everything in Tailwind CSS. So now that it is configured correctly, let's go ahead and get into some JSX here. And this is our JSX here, HTML JSX. It looks like HTML, but it's actually JSX. So let's go ahead and, so we're going to have an outer div here, and then we're going to have a link. And this is why I wanted to go ahead and install React Router DOM, because we're going to use a link tag right there. And as you can see, we're going to import that from React Router DOM, and then we can just say to, and this is going to be to the home page. So this is going to be surrounding our logo, right? Or our H1, which is going to pose as our logo. So H1, and we can say crypto base, whatever, can't even spell, 0y, we'll say crypto-based, something like that, kind of like a Coinbase knockoff. There you go. So that is going to be our logo. And if we hover over this, you can see on the bottom left, I'm not sure if you can see that there. So, but it is a link. So if we actually click it, the page refreshes real quick. So that is a link to our homepage. So, and there's an internal link, there's internal routing with a React Router DOM in React. All right, so just below this link, what we want to do is create our theme. So, or this is a good idea. So let's go ahead and create another component here. And inside this component, we want to create a theme, like a theme toggle button. If we go in right here, we're going to create this theme toggle button. Okay, so let's go ahead and create that really quick in our components here. So go create another file. I'm just going to call this theme toggle.jsx. Okay, so RAFCE is going to get our functional component. And what we're going to have here, we're going to be using React icons. We're going to have a couple little icons in there. So we're going to have a moon when we want to switch to dark theme, and a little sun when we switch to the sun theme. So let's install React icons. Yarn add react-icons, just like that. It's a very small package. I use it on a lot of builds. So what we need to do is import the icons we're going to be using. So we're going to use the HI sun and HI moon, just like that, from React icons. And then you have to put /HI to import them properly. And we are going to be needing access to our theme context. So let's import theme context. There we go, from context/theme context. Okay, so inside our theme toggle, we're going to be using some state in here, our use context here. So what we want to say is we'll say const theme and set theme. There we go, equal to use context theme context, just like that. So let's go ahead and import that there. Perfect. There we go. Now in here, what we want to return, we're going to return a few things here. So in here, we just delete this theme toggle. So in here, what we want to check to do is we're going to be using a ternary operator. Okay. And what this is going to check for is if the theme is light or dark. So what we're going to do is open up our curly brackets, and that way we can type some JavaScript in here. So what we're going to check is the theme, and if it is equal to dark, just like that. So if dark is true, let's open up our parentheses there. And so if it's true, what we're going to do is have a div here, just like that. Else, we're going to open up parentheses here and have a div there. Okay, so in this first if, and this is if it is a dark theme, what we're going to say here is we'll have our HI sun, just like that. And then we're just going to say light mode. And then in here, we're going to have our HI moon, and we'll say dark mode, just like that. So let's go ahead and save and see how it looks over here. Oh, we need to import it. So let's put it in our navbar. And where we're going to put this in our navbar, we're going to just put it surround it by a div here. And we can just put it in here. So we're just going to put this right in here. So div, and this is going to be theme toggle, just like that. So now it should appear over here to the right. There it is. Perfect. So it doesn't have any styling yet, and it doesn't have any functionality, but we're going to go ahead and take care of that right now. So this is all we need, but let's go ahead and style this here. So, and we're going to add some on-click events as well. So for this div, what we're going to say is on-click, and this is for the sun. So what we're going to say is, and it's actually going to be the same. So what we can do, a little shortcut here, if you hold the option button down, if you're on a Mac, it's going to be Alt if you're on a PC there. So that way we can type at multiple spots at the same time. So we're going to select both these divs here, or sorry, not a class name. We're going to be using an on click, and on this click, what we want to have is an arrow function. There we go, should be curly brackets. And this is going to be an arrow function here. And whenever we click this, we want to do is set the theme to theme dark. We use a ternary operator here. Light, else dark, just like that. So now you can see we can change the theme, the dark mode light theme. We can toggle back and forth in our application. And this is since we went through the pain of adding this as a context, it is now available and active throughout our entire project, no matter where we are. We don't have to. In Tailwind, you can do things in class names called dark : and we don't need to do any of that now. So we saved a lot of time by doing that up front. So let's go ahead and add some styles to this so it just looks a little bit nicer. So in this outer div, I'm just going to give a class name of p-2. And what that's saying, if we hover over it, it's padding 0.5 rem on all sides there. So, excuse me. So in this div here, I'm going to go ahead and hold down the option button so I can type multiple places here. And what I want to say is give this a class name, and then here we're going to say flex, items, center, and then cursor, pointer. That way our user knows that they can toggle back and forth there. And then on our actual icons itself, I'm going to do this once more. On the icons themselves, we're going to class name, and in this class name, I'm going to say text primary. It's going to give it that color. Then text 2XL, margin right 2, just like that. So as you can see, we're starting to get a little bit of styles here. So that is all we need to do for our theme toggle, and we can toggle nice and easily between both themes. So let's go back to our navbar here. We're done with all the styling in our theme toggle. We can go ahead and close that. So in our navbar, we have our theme toggle div right here, okay? And then next what we're going to have is our sign in and sign up links. So let's create another div down here. And what we're going to have is a link to, and I'm going to say sign in, just like that. Sign in. And then below this, we're going to have another link to, this is going to be sign up. Just like that. Perfect. Now below this div right here, we're going to have one more, and this is going to be our menu icon. And I'm going to go ahead and give this, that way we can see what we're doing. So in here, we're going to have a div, and in here, we're going to have AI outline menu. So this is another icon that we're going to be using. So go ahead and copy that, as we need to import it here at the top. So import, and this is going to go in the curly brackets here. Oh, and this is going to be from React icons. Then what we need to do is we're going to say /AI, because that's the directory of the icons that they're in. So whatever that little pretext is on the icons you're using, that's how you use React icons right there. So, and we're going to come back and toggle this back and forth whenever we make this responsive. So just below our mobile icon, what we want to have is a mobile menu. So it's going to be a secondary mobile menu, and this is going to be the menu that slides over, that slides back and forth right here. So this is what we're designing right now. So let's go ahead and go back into that there. And for our mobile menu, I'm going to put a little note there, mobile menu. There we go. So in here, we're going to have a div. And what I want to say here, so I want to say basically anything above medium. I'm trying to think of how I want to do this. So let's have a div here, and I'm just going to wait on this for now, but let's have a UL in here, okay, an unordered list. Then we're going to have a list item. Then in here, we're going to have a link tag, and this is going to be this is going to be just a home link here, okay? So we'll say to /, just like that. We'll say home, and I'm going to copy this down just a couple times here. So I'm press the shift option button, and lets me copy things down here. So actually I just needed one there. So, and this is going to be the account. And this account page is going to be a protected route. And what that means, what a protected route means, is that you must be authenticated. The user must be signed in, otherwise they can't view the page. So, and we're going to set that up here in a little bit at the end of the build whenever we configure Firebase. So yeah, the way we're going to do this, we're going to build out our entire project here, and then we're going to add in Firebase at the very end. So theme toggle there, and go ahead and make sure that imported, there we go. We already have it from up there. So this part here is going to be our mobile menu. So don't worry, I know you can see it right now, but don't worry about that for right now. So, and we're going to come back and style this here in a minute. So go ahead and save that. And just below the unordered list here, we want to have another div. And what this div is going to be our buttons at the very bottom. So I'm going to create a link here, and this is going to be to sign in, just like that. And inside here, we're going to have a button, and the button is going to say sign in. And let's just copy this down once more, and we'll change this to sign up. We'll change that to sign up, just like that. Cool. So let's go back and give this thing some styles. So we're going to start off at the very top again, at the very top of our navbar. And so in here in our outer div, remember we made this that rounded div, that custom style there. So I'm going to give this class name. What I'm going to say is rounded div, just like that. And as you can see, that wrapped everything in our box here. Our container, it's 1140 pixels, and has a nice shadow effect there. So just drop this down a little bit. So that's perfect. That's what we want so far. So rounded div. And then next, what we want to say, flex. We want it to display as flex. Then we want to say items center. So everything's centered evenly. Then we want to say justify between. And this is the same as saying justify content space between. So we want everything pushed to the sides. And then I'm going to give it a height of 20. So you can see this is 5 rem, and the way this works, that's why you can always use brackets if you want to say like 6 rem, or you can say different 80 pixels, something like that. When we use the brackets, we can give custom values. But in this case, I'm just going to say H20 for a height of 5 rem by default. Okay, and then I'm just going to say font bold because I want all the text in here to be bold color. There we go. So next, for our H1 here, I'm going to bump this size up a little bit. So I'm going to say text 2XL, and that's just going to raise it up. In fact, if we're using our IntelliSense here, you can see that that puts the font size at 1.5 rem, and it also includes the line height as well, which is pretty nice. So let's go down here. The next styling we're going to do is this sign up and sign in. So we actually this is where our hamburger menu is going to be, and we only want to show this if we're on larger screens. So I'm going to see where my breakpoint is here. So let's go ahead and open up our inspect. So now we can see in the top right of the screen, we can see the pixels we're at, 792. So we're going to be using the medium breakpoint, and the medium breakpoint in Tailwind by default is 768 pixels. So what we can say here inside our theme toggle here, in our theme toggle, we only want this to display on larger devices, and on smaller devices, we're going to put it over here in our navbar. So for our theme toggle, I'm going to say class name, and Tailwind is what you would call a mobile first design approach. So whatever styles you have here, unless explicitly stated, they're going to be applied to all screen sizes. So if we say hidden, this is going to be hidden on all screen sizes. And then if we add a breakpoint, for example, MD for medium, and you can see here it says the default medium breakpoint is 768. So anything above 768, we can display block. So right now we're at 790 pixels, but for this dark theme right there, we should hit this breakpoint right here. It's going to hit it, and you can see it disappears. So that's a pretty nice feature. And let's go ahead and click that, make sure it's all working. How awesome is that? Smash the like button, you guys, if you're getting some value so far out of this. I'd appreciate that. So yeah, smash that like button. And in here, so let's go down to the our div here. So for our sign in and sign up, what we want to say here, we're going to do the same thing. Okay, so class name, we want it to be hidden. Then anything above medium, let's display it as block. So we're going to be able to see it again right now because we're above our breakpoint. And so for our sign in here, I'm going to give this on our A tag. I'm going to give this, link tag. I'm going to class name. And I want to say P-4, so it's going to be padding of 1 rem. And then on hover, we're going to use the hover selector, text accent. And this is going to give us that nice little like cyan color, cyan blue there. So very nice, you guys. So for this sign up, we want this to look kind of like a button, though it's not, but it's going to look similar to a button. So class name, we can say bg-button text btn, oh, this needs to be lowercase, btn text, just like that, px5, so a padding on the x-axis of 5, then py2, and you can kind of see it styling our buttons right, as we go. So margin left, I want to give it, just push that little sign in away just a little bit, and then rounded 2xl shadow dash large dash LG, and then anything on hover, I'm going to use shadow 2xl. So probably won't be able to see this very well on the dark mode, but if we switch to light mode, you can kind of see there's a little shadow in there. Kind of hard to tell there, but it's there. So for our mobile icon, what we're going to do for our mobile icon, so we actually kind of the opposite of what we did here. Okay, so for the opposite, where are we at? Right here. The opposite of what we did there, what we want this to be, we can give it a class name. We want it to display as block, right, on all screen devices, because we're doing a mobile first approach. And then anything above medium, we want it to be hidden, of course, because we don't need to see our hamburger menu on full screen devices. And it'd be a good idea to go ahead and say cursor pointer, just so the user knows. So we're going to add a Z index to where as well for Z10. Okay, so now you can see it disappeared, and when we get up, when we drop our screen, it should appear and the others disappear. So that's perfect right there. So now for our mobile menu here on the side, and we're going to do a lot of really cool styles with that right now. So let's go ahead and take care of this. So this is our mobile menu here. And so for our mobile menu, what we want to say, anything above medium, we want to say hidden, okay? We want it to be fixed. And what I want to do is I'm going to drop this down. So what I like to do is be able to see it while I'm designing it. So we're going to say left 0, top, we'll say top 20, flex, we want the flex column, items center, we're going to say justify between, width full, I'm going to say height of 90%. And then we're going to add in our custom values. You can add in percentages, pixels, rem, it doesn't matter. They can all be custom values there. So even hex codes for colors. So BG primary, and we're going to ease in and then give it a duration of 300 and Z10. So go ahead and pause the video if you need to copy all of that in there. So that's looking good so far. All right. So next, what we want to do is come into our unordered list here. And for our unordered list, we can give a class name. We want the width to be full and padding 4. And by the way, you guys, the width full, all that's saying, if we hover over it, it's just saying width 100%. So if you were to say like H or W dash screen, that would be width 100 viewports. So screen is viewport and full is width. So on the next thing we want to do is for our list items. So I'm going to go ahead and all our LI is going to have the same. So let's just go ahead and select all those. And what we want to say here for our list items, I'm going to say border dash B, border bottom, then PY6, just like that. So as you can see, we have this nice little faint line. In fact, I'm going to get rid of this one on the bottom line. There we go. Perfect. So that's what we want right there, you guys. Look at that. Looking nice, looking nice. So let's next go down to the our buttons at the bottom, and we'll style those next here. So for this div down here, this is the div, our parent container around our buttons. Let's give that a class name. And what we're going to say is flex column width full P-4. And guys, check out, like, notice how much time we're saving by typing in these class names using Tailwind, you guys. So, and we're not messing around with any external style sheets or anything like that. So it's just the amount of time you save is incredible. And something to note as well, you guys. So a lot of people are like, oh, what about all these styles? If I'm importing like the entire Bootstrap theme or the entire like Tailwind, all these styles, you don't have to worry about that with Tailwind. So it actually purges all of the unused styles in Tailwind. So it's lightning fast, you guys. So yeah, it purges all those files, so you don't have to worry about anything like that. So we want the width to be full MY2, and we're going to say padding of 3. We're going to say BG primary text, primary border, and then we're say border secondary. There we go. Rounded 2XL, and then a shadow dash XL. So that right there, you guys, perfect. Nice little button there. And then our sign up button, the one like right below that, will say with full 2 P-3 BG button text BTN text rounded 2XL, and we'll give a shadow of XL. So let's see. Boom, there it goes. Look at that, you guys. Oh, look at that. That is so clean, you guys. So well, of course right now it is displaying when we're at small screens, and that's not what we want. We want to be able to toggle this with our menu there. So just drop that down. So what we want to do, like I said, we want to be able to toggle that with our menu. And what we're actually, how we're actually going to do that is with the use state hook. So what I want you to do is go up to the top here, and we're going to use some state right here inside of our navbar. So it's going to say const, open up our brackets, okay, and this is going to be equal to use state. We're going to give it a false default value. So, saying we didn't import it. So another cool trick here, you guys, instead of typing it up here, sometimes it doesn't auto import. What you can do is press the control space button when your cursor is at the end of the hook. And what it's going to do is prompt you if you want to auto import it. So just a little time saver right there. So inside here, what we're going to have is nav value, and then we're going to have our function be set nav. Okay, and then in here, we're going to have an arrow function, and you can call this whatever you like. I'm going to say handle nav. There we go. And in here, all we want to do is set nav to true. So we can just use our exclamation point there, and what that's going to do every time we run this function is going to set our state to true. So the next step, what we need to do is go down to our, we want to go down to our button here, our AI outline menu here. And what we want to say here is on click. Okay, so on click, what we want to do is just run this handle nav function, just like that. And what we actually want to do, go ahead and just select this right here. And what I want you to do is press the Control X, right? We just want to cut it out. Oops. I'm going to get that entire thing there. Control X, we're going to cut it out. What we're going to do is open up our curly brackets. So we're going to type some JavaScript. We use another ternary operator. And what we're going to say, if nav is true, what we actually want to say, and this is a new button we're using in here, AI outline, this is lowercase, outline close, just like that, and go ahead and import that. Okay, so if nav is true, we want to display the close button. Else, then go ahead and paste that in what we just copied. We want the AI outline menu. So what we can do next here is we want to add in some size here, and this is just a sizing property that we can use in React. So we can just say size, open up, you can say something like that. So 25. Oh, we're on this one over here. Size, say 20. I'm not sure what the default is. So yeah, there we go. Bumped it up a little bit, and you can do 25. It'd be a lot bigger. So I'm just going to leave it at 20 for now because I think that looks good. But feel free to set it to whatever you'd like. So the reason we don't see the X now is actually our state has not changed. And in fact, if we go up here and you can see we change this to true, you'll see the X now. So, but we want to leave this as false. And the next step that we want to do is come down here to our mobile menu. Where are we at? There, here, our mobile menu. What I want you to do, this MD/hidden, this entire line, I want you to go ahead and select all of that, okay? Go ahead and press Control X, right? We want to cut that. And what we're going to do is actually get rid of the quotes, and we're going to use some curly brackets instead, because we're going to use another ternary operator. And in here, what we're going to do is check for nav. If nav is true, then put in our quotes there, and go ahead and paste that in. Okay, so if nav is true, we want to display those styles. Else, we're going to display these here. And I saved it so we can get on another line here. So otherwise, what we want to say is fixed left, and we're opening our curly brackets, negative 100%. Because what we're doing, we're just hiding it way off the screen there. and we're going to say top 20. You don't have to do all this extra stuff. However, it won't close properly, or it'll still close, but it'll just be kind of, won't look as clean. So we'll say flex column, and we want everything to look clean around here, right? Item center, and then justify between, and we're going to do our ease in and the duration 300 there. So all right, you guys, let's go ahead and see. Should be working there. Look at that. Okay, so notice it slides in nice and neat. Look at that. So that's how our nav bar is going to look. That is perfect right there, you guys. And if we go ahead and click on the sign in, you can see it takes us to another route. Perfect. So awesome, you guys. Hope you like what you're seeing here. If we click on that, it navigates us back to the home page. Perfect. Smash the like button, you guys, if you feel like you're getting some value out of this. So for our next step, what we want to do for our next step, let's go ahead and create our coins right in here. So these coins are actually going to stay on our home page component that we created. So let's go and open this up. There we go. Open this up. So that's it for our nav bar for now. We'll probably come back here and make some changes here when we configure our Firebase. We can have kind of basically show data based off if we're logged in or not. Like for example, if our user is logged in, we don't want to show a sign in sign up page. We're going to or links. We're going to show the account page, but we'll come back to that whenever we get to the Firebase portion. So let's go ahead and close our nav bar for now. And what we want to create here, let's open up our routes. So what we want to create in our components folder, we're going to create a file called coin search. Okay. So let's go ahead and create a file. Coin, whoops, not working there. Coin search. So you can call it whatever you want, but this coin search, what this is this entire section right here. And if you see here, we can actually filter through these coins. For example, as you can see, we're searching for USD. If we're going to look for Binance, BINA. So that's a really, really cool feature they're going to be able to do in this project. So our AFCE is going to generate our functional component. And this, you guys, is actually going to be in our home page. Okay. So what we can do here, what I want to do here in our home page, we're just going to paste this in here. What's that? Coin search, just like that. Perfect. Now inside our app.js, this is where we're going to be making our API call to using Axios to the CoinGecko API. And in here, we're also going to have our routes, right? So let's go ahead and set up, we've already installed React Router DOM. So let's go ahead and install or configure our routes. So for our routes, what we need to do, we're going to say routes, and this is version 6. So we have to surround everything in a routes tag. And let's just go ahead and auto import that. There we go. And then we're going to have individual route. So route here, and what that's going to be, we're going to say path, and this is going to be our home page. So I'm just going to leave a slash right there. Then we're going to say element, just like that. And this is going to be the home element. And we need to make sure we close that. So go ahead and save. And while we're at it, well, let's see, it's not imported. That's fine. So let's import that, and let's import the home that we just created. There we go. And then we're also going to have routes. If you want to just copy this down, this one is going to be a sign in. This is going to be our, whoops. This is going to be our sign in component. Oh no. Sign in, that's fine. We'll just go ahead and import it. So import sign in from routes, sign in, there we go. And this one is going to be the sign up. It's not auto importing that, but hey, that's fine. We'll come back and do that. So let's just go ahead and this will be a sign up. There we go. And this one will be the account. Perfect. So in our homepage here, that's perfect right there. What I want to do next is take care of our API call. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So for our API calls, we're going to be using Axios to make all of our calls. So let's go ahead and install Axios. We're going to do that down here. Yarn add npm install. It depends what you're using. Axios, just like that. So what we need to do is import Axios, and we're going to make our API call from, in this case, we're going to make a few different calls, but in this case, what we're working on right now, we're just going to make it inside of our app.js. So what we want to do is import Axios from Axios, just like that. Now, in here, we're going to be using some state, and we're going to put that in here. So let's just go right above here. We'll say const, and you can say whatever you like. We'll say coins, set coins, just like that, equal to use state. And it's going to come back as an empty array, just like that. So let's get an error there. Let's go ahead and import our state. So I'm going to open this up a bit, and let's cruise on over. We're going to go to the CoinGecko. Just search CoinGecko there. That's going to be it right there, coingecko.com. Now go into products, and what we're going to click on is Crypto API. So, and this is 100% free, you guys. Don't have to pay for anything. Don't worry about all that. So just click on Get Started on this free plan. You don't even have to sign up. So this is all we need to do. Go down here, and under the coins right here, we're going to click on this second one, Markets. And what we're going to click, we're going to click Try It Out. And what we want to say, I'm in the US here, so I'm going to say USD. You use whatever you like. And that's all we need to do here. This is how many results we're going to get back. And we can actually change this. This is just going to be passed into our query and our URL. So I'm going to start off with just 10. I don't want to overload right now. And then we want the Sparkline. Yes, we do. And we don't need to change anything else. So that's all we need to do for now. So go ahead and click execute. There we go. So this is the request URL that we want to get right here. So go ahead and just copy that, okay? And you can see down here, this is the response that we're going to get. So it's going to return an array of objects, and each object is going to be a different coin. So we're going to be able to console.log this so you can have a better view. So in here, what we want to say here, let's go ahead and store this URL. So I'm going to say const URL just like this, and this has to be a string, very important. Oh, there you go, just like that. And so this is our endpoint here. Normally, there'd be like a key, some sort of key or ID in here, and you'd want to hide this in like a .env file, but there's no need. So probably still good practice, but we're not going to do that in this project because there's no hidden key or ID there to be exposed. So once we have this URL here, this value stored as URL, we're going to make our API call. We're going to use the use effect hook because we only want to make it. We're going to make the API call every time the URL changes. So we're going to say use effect, and it's not going to take in any values, just an arrow function here. And what we're going to say in here is make our API call. We're going to say axios.get. Then in here, we're going to say URL, okay, .then, and we're going to get a response. It's going to be an arrow function. And in here, what we're going to do is just update our state. So we'll say coins, set coins, to be response.data, okay? And we'll go ahead and console.log response.data. And in here, what we want to add in our dependency array, because if you don't add the dependency array, it's just going to make like endless calls, and it's going to wear out your, oh, spelled something wrong. It's going to wear out your you're going to get an error because you're going to like overload their servers. So it's going to cut you off. So what we're going to do is just say URL. And basically, when we add a URL into our dependency array, this use effect is going to fire off every time it senses that there's a change in this URL. So go ahead and click console.log. Let's bring this up. There you go. So let's go ahead and refresh. We shouldn't see any errors at this point. So as you can see, we have a 10 because that was what we specified. And we have an array of objects. So, and just to show you guys, if we want to change this to, we'll change it to 20. We scroll down, you can now see we have 20. So that's all it is. It's just passed in as a query in here. So, But I'm going to leave it at 10 for now while we're developing this thing. So go ahead and refresh. So now we have our array here. So what we want to do now that we're making our call, what we can do is we want to pass this down. So and we can actually pass down properties, pass down state, and React. So in our home component, what we're going to do is what we're going to pass down. You call it whatever you like, but I'm going to say coins. And this is how we're going to pass it down. And then inside our home component, we just need to accept this. So up here, what you can say is props, just like that. And what you could say down here is coins, props.coins. But, you know, to destructure this a little bit and kind of use like a modern way of doing things, you can actually just open up here with some curly brackets, say coins, and you can actually just delete this props. And what that does is just makes it, it works all the same, but just looks a little bit cleaner this way. So that's all we need to do in our app.js. We can go ahead and close that for now. And inside our home component, this is our coin search component that we just created. And once more, we're going to be passing it down again. And that's what we're doing right here. So inside our coin search, again, we could say props, but let's just go ahead and destructure this from the start and just say coins, just like that. Now, if we go back into app.js, I just want to show you something real quick. Let's go ahead and comment that out. There we go, and some refresh here. So you notice we don't have anything down here in our console. And if we want to, I just want to show you how we're passing state down. We can actually console.log coins, and you can see that we now have the same data there. So now we can ensure that everything is being passed down correctly. So let's go ahead and what we're going to do now is this right here, this whole entire block. So, and if I use a really cool extension called Pesticide for Chrome, I use this all the time while I'm developing. You can see it kind of gives you all the outlines of all of your HTML elements. So, excuse me, coffee time. So this is actually one block. You see here, this is our navbar, and this is our search coins in here. So really cool Chrome extension if you're a front-end developer. So inside our coin search here, okay, so we can go ahead and get rid of that text there. So inside this coin search, what we're going to have is it's going to be our container in here, right? So we're going to have an H1, and I want this to say search crypto, just like that. Okay, so where we see it there. And then below this H1, we're going to have a form. Now, you can get rid of this action. We don't need any action. It's not actually going to submit anywhere. It's not going to be submitting a form, and this is going to be text. So it's just going to be able to filter through our list of coins. So in here, we're going to add a placeholder, and I'm just going to say search a coin, just like that. And that can be the end of our form, and then our div as well. So down here at the bottom, what we're going to have next is our table, and this is going to be there's so many different ways how you want to lay out your project, and I try and do it all different ways just as I'm learning, so I can be familiar with different elements and just different design structures. So what I'm going to have here is a table, okay, and inside the table we have a T head, and this is going to be the table head. Then we have a TR for the table row. And in here, we're going to have lots of TH, and these are table headings here. And what I'm going to do is going to copy this down 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I believe I'm going to have 9 of them, okay? And the first one actually is going to be left blank. So bear with me here. It's not going to be difficult, but it's just going to be, just kind of follow along here. So we're going to have coin. And this is the heading. Just to be clear, you guys, what we're doing right here is this bar right here. This is our table row. So as you can see, that's why we left this one blank. Then you can see we have the number sign, then coin, then that one's going to be blank, and then we're going to have price, and so on and so forth. So after coin, like I said, that one's blank. Then we go down, and we're going to have price, and then just below price, we're going to have 24-hour. Then we're going to have 24-hour volume. And then we're going to have MKT for market, and then we're going to have last 7 days, and this is going to be our Sparkline, and but we'll come back and configure that here in a little bit. So that's all for our table head there. So next what we're gonna have is the T body. Okay, so in our T body, this is where we're actually gonna map through and display all of our coins. So the way we map through things here, so as you can tell, we have access to the coins, right? So I'm just gonna go ahead and comment that out. But we already know we have access because we see it down there. So let's open up our curly brackets so we can use JavaScript here. And what we're gonna say is coins.map, okay, and we're just gonna say coin. This is going to be an arrow function here, and just like that. Now in here, what we're going to map through is actually our coin item, right? So for our coin item here, we're going to map through and give it a table row instead of a div, right? So we're going to say table row, just like that. And in here, we're going to have table data. And we're going to have 9 of these. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And in our first one, we're going to have that star that you see over here, right? So it's going to be a star. Then we're going to have 1. This little div here, the image and Bitcoin. We're going to go all the way across to our Sparkline. So in here, we're going to be using a star, right? So and that's a React icon. So I'm going to say AI outline star, just like that. And we're going to go ahead and copy that and just import it here at the top. So import, if you guys remember, if you've been paying attention, we know that this won't work just like that. We need to add the pretext there, that AI. So we just say, oh, the AI, there we go. So that should take care of any errors. And there you can see we're mapping through. We don't have any data in there, but you can see we do have 10 stars because that's how many times we're mapping through things. So if that makes sense, hope it does. So next, what we're going to display is the market cap rank. So we're going to open up our curly brackets in here. And I just want to show you, if we go over here, so what we're going to be grabbing now is the market cap rank. So market cap rank right here. So what we can say, so we're mapping through all our coins. So what we can say is coin dot market cap rank, just like that. And that's all we need to do, and we should now see the market cap rank for the 10 coins. So and there you have it, all 10 coins. So next, what we're going to look at just below the market cap rank. So next, we're going to want to we're going to have a div around this next one, and this is going to be div here, just like that. And this is actually, we're actually going to make these links. We're going to come back and make these links. So whenever we click on this, we can go to the actual coin page. But these are going to be dynamic links. So it's not going to be to, because as you can see this one goes to Bitcoin, this one to Ethereum, Tether, USD coin. So like I said, these are going to be dynamic links. So we'll come back and take care of those later. So, but save there and get it nice and formatted. So in this div, what we're going to have is an image. And I'm just going to put a little slash in there. In fact, this is kind of cool. What we can do here is put in some JavaScript and just say coin dot, you can say coin.id. There we go. And that will give a dynamic alt tag to your images there. So pretty handy. And inside here, instead of source, what we're going to say, coin.image. If you see coin.image, it's a nice URL. There we go. Look at that, you guys. How awesome is that? Perfect. So just below, so that one's good there. And below the image, let's give it a p tag. And in here, what we're going to say is coin.name. There we go. And just get a nice refresh. Make sure everything is working properly. Coin search, key prop. We're going to come back and add a key prop. Don't worry about that. So in fact, let's come back and do that later. So just below this div in the next table data section there, what we want to have is a coin symbol. Okay, so here and coin dot symbol, just like that. There we go, and that's the coin symbol. Boom, there we go. And I'm gonna switch back to this view here so we can see what we're doing a little bit better. So below the coin symbol, we're gonna have a coin dot current price. And these are all in there. I'll let you go through and look for them if you like. But coin dot, and this is what we're going to do, price change 24H. I think just like that should be good. There we go. Perfect. Perfect. So, and you got to spell these exact, otherwise you'll get some errors. You won't get the correct data back. And so in the next one, we're going to be, let's see, coin.market cap. There we go. And this one is going to be coin. Let's see here. We want to do coin.symbol. I'm going to make sure I have all this right here. Price change 24. Market cap. So this one, coin.volume, total volume, sorry, total. And this one actually needs to be above. So what I'm going to do is just hold down this option button and going to slide it above. So this is the correct order. It doesn't really matter, just so it lines up with our table heading here. So we want the symbol, current price, price change 24, price change 24, and we actually want this to be percentage here. So percentage. Sorry. So like I said, you got to spell it exact, otherwise you won't get the right stuff back there. So price change percentage, and then we're going to have the total volume, then the market cap, and then finally what we're going to have is our content, or sorry, Sparklines here. So coin.sparkline underscore n underscore 7d dot price. And what that returns here is actually, I'm getting an error here. What that returns is actually an array here. Let's get rid of that. Scroll over. Going up. Dot price. That's right. I just didn't spell it correctly. There we go. Okay. And you can see the Sparkline in 7 days, basically it just returns a long array of numbers. So if we look over here, sorry, Sparkline, this is what it's returning right there. So, and what we want to do is actually go ahead and have that display as a Sparkline, something nice and neat like that. And we're going to use a React package for that. It's going to be real simple. Oops, sorry about that. It's going to be real simple here. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to go all the way over here. Sorry about that. So let's go ahead and install React Sparklines. So go to npm JS just like that. And we're going to type in React Sparkline. There we go. And we're going to be using this first one right here. So let's just go ahead and copy this. Again, I'm using Yarn, so I'm going to say yarn add react-sparklines. Go ahead and install this package. And what we need to do is just going to scroll down. I'm going to open this up some. Hey. Okay, there it goes. So what we need to do is actually import this, okay? So let's go and copy that, and we'll import it at the top here. There you go, Sparklines. And all we need to do is add this kind of data, and then we have a Sparklines color. So we're actually going to also import Sparklines line. So we'll import that as well. And then we just need to, we can just add the element just like Sparklines, and we'll add some data in there. So down in here, what I want you to do is just kind of select all that and just cut it out, right? So save it to your clipboard there. And what we can say is Sparklines, just like that. Boom, there we go. And then in here, I'm going to shrink this down a little bit. In here, what we can say is Sparklines line. And the color I'm going to use is teal. There we go. Now we need to give it the data to go off of right here. So, and you can see that's just an array, which is what that returns as well. So what we can say is data, and then in here we can just say for the Sparklines, we can just paste. We actually don't need two curly brackets though. And this, remember, this returns an array, so that is perfect. So let's go back to our project, and hey, there you go. Now you can see our nice little Sparkline there. But I want to change this out. And actually, before I go any further, kind of the cool thing about React is we can kind of break things down into components, right? So what I actually want to do is just destructure this, kind of break it down a little bit further. So whenever we map through things right here, what I want to create is a coin item and have this all be one component. So let's go ahead and do that right now. We're going to create a new component, and this is just going to be called coin item.jsx, just like that. RAFCE is going to get our functional component, and then what we can do, close that back down. I'm just going to select all of this right there, that TR, go ahead and cut that out, And what we can say here is just coin item, just like that. And what we're going to want to do is pass through our data here that we're mapping through, right? So what we can say is coin, just like that. And then since we cut everything, let's go in here and we'll just paste it. And this is that TR, right? This is that table row, just like that. So coin items not defined. And we're going to have to do a couple things here. So let's go ahead and import that. And I know we used this, so we can actually, let's just go ahead and cut both of these. Go ahead and cut them. And we'll just paste them right in here. So coin is not defined. That's because we're passing things down, but we have to go in here and receive them. So remember, we could take in props and say props.coin, but let's just go ahead and destructure this and keep it nice and neat. So that's all we need to do there. And if we refresh, I believe it's still going to want a key. Yeah, so what we can do now is give it the key, right? Because React, whenever we map through things, React likes to have a key. So what we can say here, you can say, you know, index like that, or what, it actually has a unique ID. So what we can say here is just key equals to, and we can just say coin.id, and that'll work fine. So go ahead and refresh, and we should not have any errors. So perfect. Now this looks really great. Kind of, you know, it's not styled yet, but let's go ahead and add some styling to this thing. And I want to start with the coin search component first for our styling. And then we'll come back and map through things here. Or, you know what, let's go ahead and map through some things right now. That'll be a little bit easier to take care of. So what we're going to do, we're going to add some more state here, okay? So let's just say const, and here, use state. Go ahead and import that. And this is going to set it to an empty string by default. And what we're going to have here, I'm going to say search text and set search text. Again, you can use whatever naming you want to use here. So, and then down where we're mapping through everything, okay, so down here, what we want to say here, and we're going to put the cursor right there. What we're actually going to say is coins.filter, okay, whoops, okay, dot filter, then open up our parentheses here, and we're just going to take in a value, and it's going to be an arrow function. And what we're going to say is if search text is a string, okay, then return the value, else if, and what we're going to say here, I'm going to drop it down so we can see a little better. What we want to do is put everything as a lowercase character so there's no inconsistencies, and we'll say name dot to lower case, just like that, dot includes, and we'll say search text dot to lowercase. So we're changing everything to lowercase by default there. And then what we can say down here at the bottom, there we go, we'll just say return value, just like that. And then, that should be everything we need to do right there. So we can go ahead and save that and get it nice and formatted. So we haven't done any styling, but let's just see if we, sorry, what we need to do is add a, where's our search button here? So what we need to do for our search, we just need to add an event here. So on our search here, and what we can say is on change, okay? And it's going to take in an event. And what we're going to say is set search text, there we go, to event, or just E to keep it a little bit shorter, target.value. There we go. All right, so let's try this once more. So searching for USD coin, there we go. If we're searching for Tether, there we go. So that is awesome, you guys. That's how you do it. So smash the like button if you feel like you get some value out of it. Let's go ahead and do some styling. So let's do our class names. And remember, we're going to use that rounded div. So we just created that nice little rounded box over it, just like that. Perfect. I'm going to leave this down here. There we go. So in addition to the rounded div, we also want to give my4. So it's going to padding margin 1 rem on the y-axis there. So this div here is kind of like our container, right? So we want this to be displayed as flex column, then anything above medium, we'll do flex row, justify between padding top 4, padding bottom 6, text center, then anything above medium will say text right. So these are all going to look very nice when we're done with it. And these are all just predefined styles that I have done. So text 2XL, font bold, then margin on the y-axis of 2. And remember, just to be clear, when you see these numbers here in Tailwind counts by 4 would be 1 rem. So 8 would be 2 rem, 12 would be 3 rem, and of course 2 would be half a rem, so, or pixels. So that's how Tailwind kind of counts by like 4s, okay? So just to be clear there. So for our form, we don't need any styles for our form, but we will for our input here. And I like having all our on change and on clicks kind of at the beginning of the element. Just a personal preference. For me, I feel like it's a lot easier to track and read. So let's give this a class name. I'm going to give it right after on change. So class name. I'm going to go ahead and save that so it goes to a different line so it's easier for you guys to read. So width full, right? So width 100%, BG primary, border input, PX4 and PY2, rounded 2XL, and shadow XL. How easy, just shadow XL and you already have that border. You don't have to mess around with the box shadow and all these crazy confusing values. Just shadow XL, boom, done. So that's why I love Tailwind so much, you guys. Shrink that down, boom, there we go. So now you can see it's full width, and then we hit our breakpoint, it kind of goes off to the side there. So that is looking great so far, looking great. So next what we're going to want to do is style our table heading, right? So for our moving on to our table here, we're done with this top part. So for our table, let's give it a class name, width full, I'm going to say border collapse, then text center, okay? So perfect, that's what we want right there. Now our table row, give it a class name, border bottom, okay? Now we're going to style the THs, right? And we're not styling all of them, just a few of them here. So on this number sign here, let's give it a class. I'm going to say PX4 to give it a padding of 1 rem there. Perfect. Now on the coin, on this coin, we're going to give it a text left, okay? And then we're going to skip all the way down here to our volume. And what we're going to say is we don't want this to be displayed on smaller devices. Just too much data, too much stuff on one line on like an iPhone, for example. So we want it to be hidden. But whenever we get above the medium breakpoint, which remember is 768 pixels, once we get above that medium breakpoint, we want it to show. So we'll just say display table cell, just like that. And we can actually copy that because we're just going to do it the identical thing here to the market. So we'll paste that in there. So hidden, then on this one we can change this one to small though. So as we have more room, we can display more things, and that's what we're doing right there. So and that's all the styling for this here. I think that looks really great. So what we want to do next is go into we can actually just close that coin search, and what we can do next is just go into the coin item. And what we're going to do is style all of that coin item right now. So in here on this table row, give this a class name. And what we're going to say, I'm going to say height. I'm going to use my value here, 80 pixels, just like that. Border -B for border bottom. Then overflow, I'm going to say hidden. Okay. Now on the, we're not going to style all of these here, but let's go down to our div. And for this div, I'm going to give it a class name, and I'm going to say flex items center, because we want these to be displayed side by side. Perfect. Now for the actual image itself, I'm going to say width of 6. If you hover over that, it should be 1.5 rem, or 24 pixels is the size of the image now. I'm going to give it margin right of 2, so it kind of gives a little bit of space in there. And we'll say rounded full. So that way all of our icons are now rounded. So some are rounded by default, but now all of them are. So in the P tag here, let's give this a P tag here. I want this to be hidden, but anything above small, let's display as table cell. So no change there, but if you shrink this down to like a small device, you'd really be able to tell. So that looks good for right there. Now let's move on. Let's move on to the let's move on down to the bottom here to the total volume. So we're going to come back here later and add some text in here. We'll do that in just a minute here. So give this volume class name. And what I want to say for the total volume, I'm going to give this a width of, we're going to open up our curly brackets, 180 pixels. Okay. Then hidden, anything above medium, display table cell. There we go. And then for the market cap, I'm going to do the same thing here. We're going to say width, 180 pixels, just like that. Oh, forgot my, there we go. And we'll say hidden, and then for this one, we'll say small table cell, just like that. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Hope you guys are liking this here. So, and what we can do here on this percentage, okay, so it'd be really cool, where our percentage at right here, it'd be really cool to have a red and green. So green if it's above 0%, you know, and red if it's in the negative. So let's take care of that. That'd be kind of a nice little feature. Just going a little extra. So I'm going to give some space in here. So right in here, we're going to use a ternary operator again. So let's open up our curly brackets. And what we're going to say is coin.price change percentage 24 right there, right? So if that is less than 0, okay, so if that's true, what we can say is open up our brackets here, else this here. So let's go ahead and I'm just going to copy that right there, okay? Or sorry, cut it. So what we're saying here, if the price change percentage is less than 0, if that is true, what we're going to display, what we want to display is the, sorry, greater than, this is a greater than sign. So what we're going to say is the true. So give our p tag in here, p tag, just like that, and we'll just paste that in there. But let's make this one, let's give it a class name, and we can just say text green 600, whoops, 600. And that's just a, looks like here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and say, dang it, can't save that yet. So, and that's just a color for Tailwind. So, and here we'll do the same thing, and I'm just gonna paste that in here. Well, just need 2 of those. There we go. And in this one, I'm gonna go ahead and save it so it formats nice and neat. So, what we're saying here is coin price change 24. If it is greater than 0, we want to display this p tag, which will give the class name of green. Else, we'll display this p tag, which is going to be text red 600. So there you can see it. Boom, boom. Yeah, there it goes. It's working. So awesome, awesome, awesome. Good stuff, you guys. Everything is looking nice so far. So that is all the styling we need to do. So actually everything looks really, really great. I'm just going to get rid of that pesticide there. But notice the one thing here, we have all these like long numbers. It's not really formatted. I want this to be capitalized. So let's go ahead and take care of some of that small stuff right now. So first off, this symbol right here, okay? So let's find our symbol. So for our symbol, I actually want that to be uppercase. So we can say to uppercase, just like that. And just use the JavaScript method there. Make sure we're not getting any errors. So perfect. And then for our price, and this is a price. Ooh, I'm missing something out here. She can't see our price. I left something out here. Let me just, sorry, just a minute, you guys. Looks like I jacked up on the price here. So we have the current price. It's just coin.up. Hey, there we go. All right. You guys are probably going to be roasting me in the comments for that. Okay. So for our price, it makes sense to have a little $sign in there. And we're going to add some commas in there. So what we can say is to locale string method, like that. Boom, there you go. Now price change 24. I'm going to say here is to fixed, and we'll just give it to the 2 decimal. There we go. Perfect. I think that's looking good. And we're likely going to want to have a percentage sign in there. So just do it like that. Perfect, perfect. Now for our volume, let's come down here. And for our volume, we're probably going to want to do the same thing. We can just say the to locale string for our volume and our market cap. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of type both at the same spot, and we'll say .to locale string, just like that. So just looks a little bit nicer, for us. And what we can do is probably give a little $sign there. So boom, there you go. Let's open this up, you guys. That looks good so far. Look at that, dude. That looks so good. And we can actually filter through this. Look at that. Awesome. So awesome. All right, so what I want to do next is take care of these trending coins right here, then the footer. And then we're going to come back and do our routes for this. But as you can see, we want to click on a coin and be able to come to this page here. Okay, so let's take care of this trending here, and then we'll come back and do the routes. So, and these are going to be dynamic routes, really, really awesome stuff here. So let's go ahead and we can close this coin item. And in here, we're going to create another component, okay, right in here. So we're going to call this, whoops, it didn't work out well, trending.jsx, okay. So RAFC is going to get our functional component here. And we want to import this, and it's going to go inside of our home component. So make sure that imports. There we go. So for trending here, we're actually going to make a different API call for our trending here. And I can't remember what the endpoint, I couldn't remember where I found the endpoint, but that's not super important here anyways. So let's go ahead and import Axios, okay, from Axios. And then we're going to be using the useState and also the useEffect hook. Okay, so let's just import those. And just like we made our API call on the app.js, we're going to do basically just the same thing here. And this call is going to return, this endpoint is going to return an array as well, just like the same. So const URL. I'm just going to go ahead and paste that in here. So go ahead and pause the video if you want to paste this in. It's a short one, so it's not too bad. So that is the endpoint we're going to be using. And again, it's free, so don't worry about anything like that. So use effect here. Here we go. And we're going to add our dependency array. So then wear out our API. And then in here, we'll say axios.get, and we're just going to grab the URL. Then we're going to get a response. And we're going to set, I didn't even set we'll say trending, set trending, just like that. Then we can say set trending to response.data. There we go. Go ahead and refresh that there. Let's go ahead and make we'll save that and get a console log response.data. There we go. Okay. So if we refresh here, you can see. So okay, so it's nested down here. So all we need to do is just add. And you see this is nested under coins. So real easy. Just say coins. And let's just refresh. So now we have access to our array of objects. And it looks like you can tell they have 7. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So perfect. That's what we want right there. Now let's work on you can see our little trending down there. So perfect. Now let's work on our JSX. So this one's going to be pretty easy down here. So let's just go ahead and remove that. And what we're going to have here is an H1 that says trending coins, just like that. Then below the H1, we're going to have a div. And we're going to be using grid for this. But before we do any styling, we want to map through all of our trending coins, which again, there's only 7 of them. So remember to map through our coins. We're going to open up our curly brackets for our JavaScript. And this is stored in trending. And I'm going to go ahead and console that out. So what we say is trending.map. Okay. And then in here, we're going to give this, we can just say coin, just like that. And it's going to be an arrow function. And in here, instead of a table row like we did earlier, this one's just going to be a div here. Just like that. And we can go ahead and give this a, let's say what we're going to say is inside this div, what we're going to have in here. And this is going to map through some things. So this is going to be our outer div. And inside here, we're going to have a div. This is going to be like a container. Okay. And inside of our container, this is going to hold a, we have another div here that holds our image. So image, and what our image is going to be is coin.item.small. Because if you look at this before, click on our item, so coin.item, and then small, that is our link to our image. So that's where I got the item and the small, if you're wondering about that. So, and I'm just going to put a slash there for now. So below our image, I'm going to have another div with some text in there. So, and in here, I'm going to have a p tag. This one's going to be the coin.item.name. So copy that down. And this one's going to be coin.item.symbol, just like that. Perfect, perfect. And below these here, below these two divs, what I want to have is another div here. And this is going to be an image. I'm just going to leave that. I'm going to leave that like so, because this is actually, I'm just going to grab a static URL, because I want this to be the Bitcoin image. Because what we're going to say in here, the way they price these things out, they give this Luna is equivalent to, you know, 0.000059 Bitcoin. So that's what we're going to add in right there. So that's our image in here. Now, just below our image, we're going to have a p tag, and this would be coin.item.price in Bitcoin. Okay. And this is going to be a really long string. So what I'm going to say is just say toFixed 7, just like that. Okay. So go ahead and save that. And you can see we're mapping through our 7 coins. So first, I'm going to go ahead and give this image a class name just because I don't want to look at it, those massive images. So width 4, there you go. That looks a lot better right there. I'm going to say margin 2. Okay. So, but let's come back up. Like I said, we're going to be using grid. And for this, what I want to have is 3 columns. And as we shrink down to the medium, we're going to have 2. And then ultimately down to 1. So let's go up to the top of our coins here. And what we can say here at the very top, we're going to say class name. And we're going to be using that content div again. Content div. And this is why I made some global styling so we didn't have to type this out because it was quite long. And we don't want to do that. So sorry, rounded div. Rounded div. Apologies for that. So that way we don't have to type it out on every little thing here. So flex, and then we want to say justify between P4, and then on hover, what we're going to do is scale, just scale 105, and then ease in and out, and we'll say give it a duration of 300. There we go, perfect. So, sorry, this is actually be on a different line. Go ahead and cut that out, you guys, and that's actually going to go on where we're mapping through our coins. That one's going to go right here. So, sorry about that, you guys. There we go. Perfect, perfect. So on the top one, apologies for that, rounded div, just like that, margin Y 12, and that's going to be 3 rem, then PY 8, and then text primary, just like that. Okay. There we go. Perfect. That's looking good. So for the H1, what we're going to say here, give it a class name, text of 2XL. I'm going to say font bold PY4. Now for our grid, this is where we're going to do our grid layout. Okay. So for our grids, give it a class name. We'll say grid, then anything above medium, like I said, we'll say grid columns 2, then anything above large, which I believe I'll have to look at the large breakpoint, grid calls 3, and then we'll say gap 4. I think the large is like 1028, yeah, 1024 pixels. So let's have a look. That should be all we need to do for our grid. So boom, there we go. Yeah, you can see 1, 2, and 1024, Boom, there we go. Okay, perfect. So, and we already pasted in our styling for that one. So next what we want to do is on this div right here, and this one right here. So we're going to give this a class name of flex with a full, which is 100%, items center. We'll say justify between, just like that. Okay. Now this is the parent div right here on our image and the text here. This is our parent div of this one. We're just going to say flex. Okay. Perfect. Just like that. Good, good, good. We already added the styles, but for this first p tag, I want to give it a class name of font bold. There we go. That looks good. And then below our image right here, just above our Bitcoin image, I'm going to give this a class name. I'm going to say flex and then items center. Perfect. And I think that's going to be good right there. I think it's going to be all we need. We probably want to give a little bit of margin right here. So let's go up to our image. Yeah, this image right here. Let's give it a class name. Say margin right for, and let's keep this rounded. We'll say rounded full. And that's the same thing. Rounded full, you guys, is the same as saying border radius of 50% or 100%. So let's go ahead and save, and that's going to go ahead and format everything. So look at that, you guys. That's looking perfect. Looking great so far. We're making some really good progress. So what I want to handle next is the dynamic routing of each individual coin. So like I said, we want to be able to click on Bitcoin and go to the Bitcoin page, and then same with Ethereum, Tether, and so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and take care of that right now. Okay, so how do we give a dynamic routes in reactjs with React Router DOM version 6? So we're going to do that in our app.js over here. Okay, so come down here to just below the account component right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to create another route. This needs to be uppercase. And this is not going to be self-closing. In fact, we're going to have a child in here. And it's just going to be route, which is self-closing. So for this route right here, the parent route, what we're going to say is path, and then in here we're going to have, and if you look at some of our example here, you can see whenever we click on a route, it's going to say a base URL, then it's going to have coin slash the actual coin. So you can say Ethereum and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and add that with coin slash, and then we're going to say, we're going to have a colon there and just say coin ID, just like that. And then the element is going to be the coin page, like so. Make sure that's self-closing. And then inside the route, the same is going to be path, and it's just going to be the colon, the coin ID, just like that. So go ahead and give that a save. Now, so it looks like we're getting an error. This is for something, this is for trending. Let's go back to the trending, sorry, just real quick. Looks like we just need to add a key. So what we can also do is say like index, something like that. We'll just say key IDX. That should. Okay, cool. Sorry about that. Now, okay, so for our coin page, so let's go ahead and try this route out. We'll say coin slash Bitcoin, and there you go. We have our coin page. In fact, it doesn't really matter what we say after this. We're always going to get this same page. But how do we get some dynamic data on this page? So let's go into our coin page component here, or our route. And what we're going to do here is, I'm just going to go back to Bitcoin. What we're going to do is we're going to grab another endpoint from CoinGecko. So come on back to CoinGecko, and it's going to be below, it's actually going to be right below the one we're using, this coins slash ID. I'm going to just open this up just a bit. So go ahead and, sorry, it's kind of going a little bit slow here. So go ahead and click try it out for the coins slash ID. There we go. And I'm going to type in, if you haven't already, type in Bitcoin. There we go. For the localization, the default is true. Go ahead and set that to false. And then we're going to skip over these other ones until we get down to the Sparkline. Default is false. I've already set this to true. So go ahead and execute on that. And that's going to generate us a URL. There it is. Sorry, my computer seems to be lagging a little bit. Let me give that just a moment. So once we get that URL, we're going to go ahead and make another API call with Axios, just like how we have been doing on the others. There we go. So let's go ahead and copy that. And I'm just going to bring this back down. So in here, we're going to be using the use state hook and also the use effect hook. Okay. And we're going to import Axios from Axios. There we go. So for our Axios call, what we're going to say for our const here, it's going to be our state equal useState. And this is actually, instead of getting back an array, this endpoint returns an object because we're only grabbing the Bitcoin object right there. So we're only grabbing one. So we can just say coin and set coin in here. Use camel case. And our URL, we just copied it over. Okay, so make sure that is a string. There we go. Oh, const URL. There we go. So this is our query right here for Bitcoin. And you can change that out for Ethereum or Bitcoin. Doesn't really matter. We're using Bitcoin right here. And we're going to come back and make this dynamic. And I'll show you how to do that here in just a little bit. So for our API call, let's use effect. And then we want to run this. We want to run this just one time, okay? Or whenever the URL changes. So we need to add in our dependency array. And in here, we can just type in the URL. That way, it'll fire off whenever there's a change to the URL, which is what we're going to be changing there. So let's go ahead and make our call with axios.get, and we'll say URL. Then it's going to get a response in our arrow function here. And we'll just say update our set coin to response.data. And let's go ahead and console.log response.data as well. There. So let's go back, and you can see this is what we're getting back here. This is our response. And as you can see, it is just a single object. And this is all our data in here. So let's go ahead and code out this part right here, right? Our entire, I'm just going to go back to Bitcoin so it looks all the same. So we're going to code out all of this in here. So let's go ahead and get started on that. So bear with me, guys. It's going to be a little bit tedious, but just follow along. So in here, what we're going to say here, and this, inside this div, we're going to have another div here. Then we're going to have an image, and I'm just going to put a little slash here as this alt tag. Now, in this image, where we're going to access it, if you look at, let's see, scroll down, image, and then large, that's what we're going to use right there. So what we can say in here is coin.image. We're going to have to use optional chaining in here, .large. Let me give you an example. If not, see everything works correctly. However, if we refresh, you're going to get an error, cannot read, properties undefined. And this is a common error you get when you're trying to access nested objects. So all we need to do is what's called optional chaining, and all you have to do there is just select or add in a little question mark there, and that's just going to check the route before it determines the next one. And that's going to fix your problem most of the time. So moving on down here, past just below this image, we're going to have another div here, and we're going to have a p tag, and in here we're going to say coin. I'm going to use optional chaining. Whoa. Coin, question mark, price. And this is going to say price, just like that. Perfect. And coin price, make sure I got this right. So, sorry, coin name is what I want here. Coin name, okay. Bitcoin price, there we go. Then in here, what we can say is, I'm going to add some little parentheses in here. There we go. Then we'll use our JavaScript in here. And what I'm going to say is coin.symbol, use our optional chaining, and we'll say dot to uppercase, just like so. And then we'll say slash, add this on the inside of this, slash USD. So go ahead and save, and that's how I want it to look right there. Perfect, you guys. Okay, so we are going to be using grid here. So what we have here right now is 2 columns on, and then on smaller devices, we just want it to be 1 column. So let's go ahead and take care of that next here. So just below there, a couple divs here, what we're going to have here next is our it's going to be basically, we're going to come back into the styles later, but this div is going to be our grid right there. We have a div in there, and then another div here. Give some space so you guys can see. And inside here, what we're going to have is, like I said, you have a lot of problems when you're trying to access some nested objects in an array. So what we're going to say here is open up our curly brackets. This is down in our third div down here. So coin.market data, okay, optional training current underscore price, just like that. And we're going to be using a ternary operator here, just like so. Then in here, we're going to have a p tag. And inside the p tag is just going to say, we have a dollar amount because this is actually the actual price. And what it's going to be is coin.marketData.current underscore price.usd. And then let's see, perfect. That's what we want right there. Now, so we don't have to come back later. Let's go ahead and add the to locale string method just right there, so it kind of formats it for us. Perfect. Now I'm going to go ahead and save that so it formats nice and neat for us. Then under here, add another p tag here and just say this one's going to say 7-day, just like that. Okay, good job there. So perfect. Underneath this div here, so underneath there, we're going to create another one, and in here is going to be our inside here is going to be our Sparklines. So let's go back over to our coin item, and we're going to do this exact same thing. So we're just going to copy that over to our coin page. Let's just paste it up here. Perfect. And down here, so down here, if you remember, we can just use our Sparkline element just like there, and then we have the Sparkline line just like so, and I want the color to be teal. And this one's going to be self-closing. Now this actually needs to be lowercase, like so. So Sparklines not defined. Sparkline. Make sure I have that. Sparklines is what it should be. So Sparklines line. Okay. So Sparklines line is not defined. Probably just misspelled this thing. Yep. Sparklines line. There we go. Now we do need to give it, remember, the data property here. And inside here, where our data is going to be coin.market underscore data, optional chain here, Sparkline underscore 7d.price. There we go. Now in here, I'll just show you where we found it. What we're looking for is the market data. There we go. Market data. Then our Sparkline is in here somewhere. There it is, Sparkline.price. So in there you can see is our array of all the numbers in there. So I'm just go ahead and refresh so it gets rid of all that there. So perfect. That is what we want so far. Now below this div, you guys, we're going to create another one. And here, what we're going to do next is actually our market cap. So this little section right under here, underneath our Sparklines, is what we're doing right now. So let's create another div here and then another div inside. And inside this div is going to be a p tag. I'm going to say market cap, just like so. And then kind of like what we did before, how it's a pain accessing these nested objects, what we're going to say is coin.market data market cap null. And in here, what we can look for is the have a p tag. And what we'll say here is coin.market data market data market cap.usd. Perfect. And let's go ahead and add the to locale string method so it gets formatted for us nice and neat. Perfect. Now just below that div here, we're going to create another div, and this is going to be our volume. So let's just go right underneath here, create another div, and in here we're going to have volume 24-hour, just like that. And kind of the same thing here, what we can actually do, I'm just going to copy that, then paste it in here. And this first part is going to be the same. However, we're not looking for the market cap on this one. We're looking for the total volume. So let's just highlight that right there and say total underscore volume. And there it is. Perfect. And we have it formatted. Perfect. So that'll save us just a little bit of time. And then, so now we're going to go down two divs here. And what we're doing now is the 24-hour high. And we're doing this bottom section right there. So what we're going to say here, what we're going to do is a 24-hour high and also the 24-hour low. So give us some space in here. have a div, then another div, and inside here we're gonna have the p tag. This is gonna be 24h high, and might as well go ahead and paste that in here. But instead of market cap, you guys, let's just go ahead and highlight that and say high 24 hours, and then here we can say we'll say high underscore 24 hours and .usd. I think that is going to work. Perfect. Let's go ahead and copy that one. Whoops. There we go. Let's go ahead and copy this down. Just trying to save a little bit of time here. So 24-hour high, and the next one is going to be the low. So we'll just change this to low underscore 24h, and again low 24h. So there we go. There we have it. Perfect. That is looking good, you guys. Awesome. So now what we're going to do is actually we'll go ahead and save that so it gets formatted. Now we're going to drop down 3 divs here. Okay, so we're going to drop down 3 divs, and what we're going to do now is the market stats. Okay, so the market stats is over here on the right hand side of the page. So we're going to have 9 values we're going to put in, and then some icons here at the bottom. So for our icons here, for our market stats on the side, give some space, and what we'll say here is a div, and inside this div we'll say market stats, just like that. Perfect. Then under here we're going to have another div and another div, lots of divs here, and inside here we're going to have a couple p tags. Okay, so we're going to have the market rank. So let's go ahead and say market rank, just like so. And just like we've been doing, we're going to have to do all this optional chaining here. So let's open up our curly brackets. We can just type some JavaScript in there. And so for actually this one, I don't think we'll need to, is it's not nested at all. However, these other ones, when you only run into the problem when they're nested objects, so, or nested arrays. So underneath there, what we want to have is another p tag, and this is going to be the hashing algorithm. There we go. And okay, now for the fun stuff, what we can say is coin dot hashing underscore algorithm. There we go. And we'll have our p tag here. It's null, and in here we're going to say coin dot hashing algorithm. Okay, so SHA-256, and that's what we want right there, you guys. Perfect. Perfect. Now just below this div, what we're going to do next is the trust score. So let's give ourselves some room, and a div here, and this one's going to be a p tag. We'll say trust score. There we go. And inside here, what we're going to do, same thing. And what we're going to say is coin.tickers tag, and this is going to be the coin.liquidity score. Then let's say .toFixed, just like that. It's null. Okay, there we go. Perfect. And okay, that looks good. Now the next, what we want to do, we're going to drop down 2 divs here. Okay, and what we're going to do now is the price change 24 hours. We're going to do this row right here. So the 24 hours, 7 day, and 14 days. So we drop down the 2 divs, and what we're going to do is create another div here. And like I said, we're doing the 24 hour, 7 day, and also the 14 day. So let's create another div in here. And once more. Now in here, we're going to have price change. We'll say 24 hour. There we go. And then in here, what we're going to say is coin.market data. Let me know if this makes sense to you guys in the comments below, or if I'm completely losing everyone, then let me know if I'm going too fast or if I need to speed it up. I'm just going to make sure everybody can understand this here. So, and what we're going to say in here is coin.market data.price change percentage 24 hour is what we're doing right now. And let's see if we can see it. There it is. Perfect. So let's go ahead and say to fixed. Use that to fixed method. There we go. And we'll add in a percentage. Perfect. So looks good, you guys. Looks good. And let's go ahead and just, what I'm going to do is just copy that down for the next one. And I'm just going to change this. And this is just to save a little bit of time here. Change this 24H to 7 days. So this market data here, this first one is going to be the same. However, we're going to change the percentage to 7 days, and boom, there we go. Perfect, perfect. Looking good, you guys. And let's just copy that down once more here. And like I said, this one is going to be 14 days. 14 days. And that's going to stay the same, and we can just change this to 14. Boom, there we go. Perfect, perfect. That looks good, you guys. So next is going to be our final row. And the final row here is price change 30 days, 60 days, and 1 year. So drop down 2 divs there. And then inside here, just like we've been doing above, we'll say div and another div. And this is going to be a p tag. We'll say price change 30 days, just like that. Perfect. And I'm just going to select that so we can paste it in here, save a little bit of time. So 30 days, we'll just change this from 14 to 30. That should be all we need to do. Perfect. Man, these prices really tanked in the last month. But hey, that's okay. That means it is time to buy up those cryptos, you guys. All right, let's switch this down. And this next one is going to be 60 days. So we'll just change that to 60. Perfect. And let's do the final one. That is not financial advice, by the way. Please don't sue me if you lose a bunch of money. Change this to 1 year. So let's go ahead and format that and make sure everything is looking good. Perfect. So after 1 year, what we want to do is drop down. We're going to drop down 2 divs, and we're going to add in here our icons. So let's create another div in here. And for our icons here, I'm going to use FA Twitter. Okay. And let's go ahead and import these up the top to get that out of the way. So what we can say is import, and we need to put this in some curly brackets. Paste that in there from react-icons. And you should know by now what we need to use. It's the FA package, right? Because that is the pretext there. So some of the other icons we're going to be using, and these are all FA. If you have different, if one's like AI, and one's like FA, one's FI, you have to put those on separate lines. So otherwise you'll get an error. So just something to note. So Facebook, Reddit, GitHub, just like there. Perfect. Scroll all the way to the bottom. So let's add in, and see if we can see our little icons. There they are. So icon, we'll say FA Facebook. There we go. FA Reddit and FA GitHub. Perfect. There you go, you guys. Perfect. Everything is looking good. Now let's drop down one more. And what we're going to do next, what we're going to do next is this part right here. And this is coming from the API as well, you guys. So we're going to drop down 3 divs here. So we're still in this final container. And what we're going to say down here, give us some space. So, and I'm just going to put a little note just so I know, description. And go ahead and save. There we go. So in here, create a div. And it's going to be a p tag. We'll say about. And now we can have this showing up dynamically. Coin.name. So we can say about Bitcoin. And what we're going to say is, let's grab another p tag. And what we're looking for is the description. Description. And then a nested object in there, en. So what we can say is looking for coin.description.en. And there you have it. So if we refresh, you see all these A tags in here, and that's not what we want. Besides, we're going to get an error here. Cannot read properties of undefined here. So what we actually need to do is sanitize the HTML. So, and there's actually a package for that. If I remember correctly, there's going to be a package that we can install, and it's called a DOM Purify. So all we can do here is say yarn add DOM-purify, just like that, and make sure I got that correctly. I think it's DOM-purify. Might just be one word here. Let's try this again. So yarn add DOM purify. Oh, okay, there it is. So one word there, DOM purify. And what that's going to do is kind of get rid of all those A tags and just get rid of all those errors. But we need to do a couple of things first. So go ahead and just select that and go ahead and just cut it out completely, okay? So what we can say in here, okay? So inside this P tag, kind of like as a property, right? So inside here, what we're going to say is dangerously set inner HTML. Then inside here, we're actually going to have two curly brackets. We're going to underscore HTML. Then we're going to say DOM purify dot sanitize. Then open up our parentheses here, and we'll say coin dot description. Going to use our optional chaining here. Coin dot description dot en, else just an empty string. And then after that, after our string here, a little comma, and DOM purify is not defined. So that's okay. What we need to do is just import it at the top. So let's just say import DOM purify from DOM purify. There we go. And see, getting some errors. No, refresh. Hey, there you go. Everything is looking good. Smash that like button, guys, if you feel like you're getting some value out of that. And I know it's tedious. Let me know in the comments, like I said, if I'm going too fast or too slow, or if I'm not making any sense. Feel free to let me know in the comments and just completely tear me apart down there. Just roast me. So I can take it. So, okay, let's move on here and let's actually style this thing. So let's open this up. That looks awesome. That has all the information in there. So all the information is in there, is ready to go. Let's go and style it, and then we're going to make it dynamic based on the link that we, based on the coin that we select. So let's jump in and let's go ahead and style this thing. So starting with this div here, again, we're going to use our class name here. Whoa. This is going to be our rounded dash div, right? And that's going to be our container. Boom, there you go. And inside here, we're going to say my12, so margin y12, py8. There we go. And then this div around the image, what we have here, we want this to be flex, and then py8. Give it a little bit of padding in there. There we go. Now, for our image itself, and this is what's super annoying, I'm going to get that thing shrink down a little bit. So class name, we're going to say for our image, width 20, margin right of 8. So there it goes. That looks better right there. So this div is not going to have any styles. However, this name here, get a class name, we'll say text 3XL font bold. There we go. Perfect. So now let's work on our grid down here. So remember I said this is going to be our grid container. So let's go ahead and give this class name. It's going to be grid. And so automatically when we say grid, it defaults to just one column. But anything above the median breakpoint, which we are right now, we're going to set the grid columns to 2, and then we'll give it a gap of 8, which is 2 rem, as you can see there. So, oh, look at that. Looks nice. Looks nice. Okay, so we're skipping this div, and then in here, what we're going to say, we want this to be flex, and then justify between. There we go. All right, and then for this text in here, for this current price, I'm going to give this class name right there, and we'll say text 3XL font bold. There we go. Boom. Perfect. Perfect. Now, for our Sparklines, we don't need to do anything for our Sparklines because they're already styled up. Now, next we're going to come down to our market cap, and for our market cap, okay, so this div right here, This is our for outermost div for our market cap here. So flex, justify between py4, perfect. Then skipping that div. Then for our market cap, let's say text gray 500, so we can give a little bit of color. And just as something to note, you guys, these are just, standard colors that default inside Tailwind. So if you were to say 900, you see it's really, really dark. If you say 100, you probably won't even be able to see it. You can barely see it, but it's really, really light. So the lighter you go, the lower the number, the lighter it is. So, and that's what we want right there. And hey, just so you know, hey, we'd be doing this in light mode right now, or in dark mode. Boom. That's why we did all that hard stuff in the beginning, guys. So moving on here. Next, what we want to take care of is the volume. So right here, let's just give this class name. And you know what? We might as well just select all this here because we're going to be using that a little bit. So let's just copy that and put that in here. Perfect. So for our volume, it looks good. Now, for our next, we're going to be adding in that same thing right here. So let's just copy that in. And that's going to go in this div right here. Okay. So let's paste that in. Boom. There we go. And again, let's just copy that. Class name. Boom. There we go. And in here, class name. Perfect. Looking good. Looking good. So next is going to be our market stats side. Okay. And for our market stats, we don't need anything in this outer div. But in here, we say text, XL, font, bold. Okay. Now, this div, we are going to need some styles here. We want this to be flex. And then what we want to say is justify between and then py4. So there's lots of padding in there. And we can just go ahead and copy that down. So we're going to be using that here in a minute here. But for these, you know what? For this p tag, let's go ahead and select all these p tags because these are just kind of like our headings, right? So now we can type multiple spots at the same time. We're going to say text gray, not text gray 500, text SM is in small. Perfect. That's what we want there. Now, now let's go ahead and select this here. And we're going to put that right here just above the price change. Okay. So same thing here. Price change. Boom. There we go. And let's just go ahead and select that again. And we can actually put that in here. And so we're doing 7, 14, and 21. So let's just go ahead and select all of these. Class name and just paste that in. Perfect. That looks good. And we're going to snag that one more time here. And this is on the very, very bottom here. So this one right here. So let's give it a class name. Boom. There we go. And again, we'll just snag that. So copy. And this is going to be for the price change 30. And again, you guys, if you missed it, I'm just holding down my option button on a Mac. It's going to be the Alt button, I believe, if you're on a, oh, damn it. That's not the one right there. So that's what I get for talking at the same time. It's going to be the Alt key if you're on a Windows. So go ahead and paste that in. Okay, perfect, perfect. That looks good, you guys. Awesome. So next, let's take care of our icons right here. Okay, so let's give this class name, and this is on our div, just surrounding our icons. So we want them to be flex, justify around. Okay, and this is like saying justify content around space around. So we can say or space evenly. Text accent. Give them a nice color. Boom. There you go. Oh, justify around. We might have to give this, guys, a width here as well. So let's see. We might have to give it a width somewhere, or maybe if I do this at the top, it might look better here. Sorry, I'm just checking some notes here. Okay. So let's see. I'm going to use my pesticide extension. There you go. So flex up. Or if I just spell things correctly, that'd probably work better as well. Yeah. Okay, so, all right, looks good, you guys. Now let's go down, and we're done styling on the icons. What we want to style next is just our paragraph down here, right? Our p tags. So let's hop into this description down here, and we're going to give this a class name of py4. So padding on the y-axis, up and down, 1 rem. And then for the about, let's give it a class name text, XL, font, bold, perfect. Now let's refresh. Look at that, you guys. Look at that. Man, that looks clean. All right, we haven't done the footer yet, but we'll come back and do that. So that is looking good, you guys. Now, how do we have this when we go to Ethereum? We want it to display Ethereum and not just Bitcoin. So how do we do that? Good question. So in here, let's go ahead and let's go to our coin item, okay? So here's where we're gonna want to start adding some links, right? So for our coin item, if we go back to our home site here, this is our coin item, right? There are individual items. This is our coin search, and then these are individual coin items. And so what we want to do is we can just add a link tag around certain items, right? So let's go to the this div, for example, this right here. And we're going to add it in a few different spots. But for our div, this div right here, this is surrounding our image and our Bitcoin name there, right there. So what we can say in here, say a link, just like that. And I'm going to put this entire div. What I can do is just hold the option button and just shift it upwards. And what I'm going to say is to, and then what we're going to have here is we want to open up our curly brackets, okay? And we're going to use our backticks. And what we're going to use here is what's called a template literal, and that means we can access some like dynamic data. So the way you have to use backticks, so make sure you use the backticks there, and that's why we have to use the brackets there as well. So backticks, use the $, then curly brackets, then inside here, what I want to say is coin.id. So link is not defined, so yeah, let's go ahead and just import that. Perfect. So now, now we're getting some errors here. Okay, refresh, we're all good. So now if I hover over this div, you can see in the bottom left hand of the screen here, you can see that has the link. So perfect, and that sends us to Bitcoin, and this one will send us to Ethereum. Of course, we're not getting any of the data yet, but you can see in our URL, it is changing accordingly. So that's what we want right there. That's the first part. Now, the second part, we need to go back into our coin page, and what we're going to use is part of React Router DOM version 6. We need to import the useParams method. So we're going to do that inside of our coin page here. And so what we're going to say is just put it right here at the bottom. We're going to say import useParams, and that's from React Router DOM. So next what we want to do is come down here, and I'm just going to put this right below our state, but what we want to say is const params equal to useParams method. There we go. And then, so right now we're going to Bitcoin, and this is how the endpoint for CoinGecko works. So all we need to do, for example, if we change this to, if we just change that to Ethereum, you'll see that now it's going to be Ethereum on every single page. But what we want to do is just pass in, based off that link, we use the parameters of the link and pass in the parameters. So all we need to do now is just, we're going to, first, let's get rid of these quotes here. And we need to replace them with backticks so we can do a template literal again. So now that we have the backticks, we can now do a template literal. So let's just delete that Ethereum. And remember, well, like I just said, we're going to use the $, and then the curly brackets. And what we can say is from right here, accessing our params, we're going to say params.coinid. Okay, and this is accessing our coin ID, our path here. So, hey, there you go. Look at that. So it's already working. So now let's click on Bitcoin. You have the Bitcoin information. Let's click on USD coin. Boom. So as we click on it, it's taking the path and we're using the useParams method from React Router DOM, and we're just passing it in dynamically into our URL with a template literal. So that is how that we're doing that right there. So you know what? So the next thing we need to do, let's go down to our footer and let's create our footer. And then we'll do an account page, our sign in, sign up, and we're going to connect Firebase. So let's go back. I know this is kind of a long project, you guys. So I hope you're liking it. I hope you're getting some value out of it. Feel free to, if you want to skip around and just grab the parts that you need. So JSX here. So footer.jsx. Let's go ahead and create our footer component. So for our footer component, RFCE is going to get our functional component here. Okay, and some stuff we're going to use. We're going to use React icons. We're going to use some multiple icons, and we're also going to use the theme toggle. Okay, so let's import. Right there. Theme toggle from / theme toggle, and let's go ahead and import some icons that we're going to be using. So these are going to go in curly brackets. We're going to use the AI outline Instagram. There we go. And that's going to be from react-icons/AI. And we're also going to import what we're using, FA Facebook F, okay, FA GitHub, FA TikTok, FA Twitter. And this is going to be from react-icons/FA. Okay. So that's all we need to import here for our footer. Now, excuse me, for our footer, let's come down in here and let's just go ahead and we're going to put this in our app, okay? Because we want this to be on all pages and not just on our home page or our sign up page. So let's add that in there and we should see, there you go, footer right there. So, okay, so for our footer here, what we're going to say is we're going to have a div in here. We're going to have another div and another div, lots of divs. We're going to come back and style all of these, but it's going to look really, really nice when we're done. So H2, and this is going to be support. Then underneath this H2, we're going to have an order list, and we're going to have a list item. This one's going to say help center. We're just going to copy this down a couple times. So help center, this one's going to be contact us. This one's going to be, and this just kind of make it look a little bit, kind of level it up a little bit and just make it look a little bit more professional, a little bit nicer. So documentation, just like that. Perfect. And so what we're going to do is drop down below the order list and below that div, we'll create another div, and this is going to be H2, and this is going to say info. Then we're going to do another unordered list, a list item, and this one's going to say about us. Let's copy this down. Sit careers. Invest, there we go, and legal, there we go. Perfect. So looks good right there. Now underneath the unordered list, and then we're going to drop down 2 additional div there, and inside here we're going to have the right side of it. So we're going to create another div, and this is going to be, like I said, the right side, and we're going to have another div, and another div, and this is going to be a theme toggle, and we've already imported that, so let's go ahead and save that. So I know I was a pain. Now underneath the div that surrounds the theme toggle, we're gonna have a p tag, and this is gonna say sign up for crypto news. See what we're doing down here. Sign up for crypto news, just like so. Perfect. Then underneath this p tag, we're gonna have a div. And then this is going to be our form. And again, this form is not going to work. It's not going to submit it everywhere. If you want to see how I can do like some submitting forms in React, I have a couple videos on that as well. So even some easy like free versions with no backend available. So we'll say email. We'll say placeholder. Enter your email. Perfect. Then underneath here, we'll have a button that says sign up. There we go. And then underneath the form, and then we're going to drop down one more div. So underneath there, we're going to create another div here, and this is going to surround all of our icons. So AI outline Instagram. There we go. Since we already imported them, that's why we can knock them out super quick, just like that. So Twitter, there we go, and then FA Facebook F, and then we'll do the FA GitHub. Okay, so go ahead and save, and that should be all we need. Let's drop down and just kind of pay our respects to CoinGecko. So let's add a p tag in here and say powered by CoinGecko. There we go. Showing CoinGecko some love here, and let's just go ahead and give that a class name. We'll say text center and then py4. So drop that thing right down the middle there. But what we want to do is actually go ahead and give some styles here. So let's go ahead and style out our footer so it looks nice and neat and all professional looking. So for our outer div here, we're going to use the rounded div, right? And we'll say margin top of 8, padding top 8, and text primary. There we go. Perfect, perfect. Now in this next div, it's going to be grid, right? So I'm going to say grid, then anything above medium, grid columns 2, and then in here we'll say class name flex, justify evenly. There we go. Width full. Anything above medium breakpoint, we'll say max width, and open up our curly brackets. We can add in our custom values. We'll say uppercase. There we go. Look at that. So the next div, we don't need to style that, but for this div here, get a class name, font bold, and we'll do the same for this div down here, class name, font bold. Now for our list items, and all of our list items here are going to be the same, so guess what? We can just go ahead and type on all 8 of these at the same time. We'll say class name, text, small, py-2. Perfect. Good, good, good. Nice, nice. And so next, what we're going to take care of is the, okay, right here, going to keep track of everything here. So on this third div down, class name, we'll say text, right? Just like so. In this div, give it a class name. It's going to be width, full, flex, justify, end. Then in here, we're going to say class name, width, full, anything above medium, we want to say width to 300 pixels, py4, and then we want this to be relative. Position that relative. Then this is the parent div for our theme toggle. Flex, justify, center, anything above medium, we want to justify, end, py4, anything above medium, we want to say py0, anything above medium also we'll say pb4, and then we'll say margin top 4 for 1 rem. All right, well, you know what? We're going to do -1, so -1 rem. Okay, and notice our button's already working. This just looks clean, you guys. Very, very nice. Very nice. I just want to check this out. Good. Smash the like button, you guys, if you're getting some value out of this again. So 1 rem there. So let's move on to our p tag here is what we need to style next. The sign up for crypto news. So give this a class name, text, center, anything above medium, want to say text right, okay? And then this div here, this is just above our form. We'll say py4. Now, we don't need any styles for our form, but for our input, we do. And our input's going to get bg primary, border input, p-2, mr for margin right, -2, width 100%, then shadow xl, rounded to xl, then anything above medium, we'll say width auto. Perfect, perfect. Looking good. Okay, so for our button, let's take care of this. So for our button, we're going to do quite a bit here for our button. Say class name, we'll say bg button, text, btn button text there, px4, p-2, width, full, rounded, 2xl, shadow -xl, hover, shadow -2xl, and we'll say margin y2. There it goes. So yeah, pause the video if you need to copy that down. So perfect. Now for the div that just surrounds all of our icons, let's take care of that next. and flex and py-4, justify between, and then text accent. Perfect. There you go. Look at that, you guys. Awesome. I hope you're liking this build so far. We've done a lot of great work. You could probably put this on a resume as it is, but hey, that's not how we're going to do things around here. We want to kick it up a notch and really make it a little bit more professional. So we're going to add a Firebase backend to where users can actually log in, create a new user with an email and password, sign into that account, and then store specific data relative to that account. And we can even host this thing so it is live. So what we're going to do next here, you guys, what I'm going to do next is go ahead and we're going to create a sign in and a sign up page and also the about page. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So I'm going to bring this open here and let's go ahead and we can close some of these that we're not using those anymore. And we can close that components there. So what I want to create here, we already have our sign in and sign up page. So let's go ahead and actually create those, all the JSX for them. So inside here, okay, so inside here, we're going to do another div here, and then an H1, this is going to say sign in. Now underneath the H1, we're going to have our form. And for now, it's just going to have, it's not going to have any action on it, but we're going to have a div in here with a label. There we go. That looks a little bit better. Label, and we don't need any of that. And for the label, it's just going to say email. And then we're going to have a div, and inside this div, it's going to be an input, and it's going to be a type of email. Oh no, come on. I'm just going to redo that. Struggling here, dude. Input. There we go. Input. There we go. And we don't need a name. We don't need an ID. We just need to use a. We actually don't even probably need a placeholder since we're using the label, so that'll work enough for us. So let's go ahead and go to our sign-in page so we can actually see what we're doing. So for our sign-in page, we already did our input there. Perfect. So let's use a React icon. AI outline mail is what we're going to be using. Boom. Go ahead and auto import that in. Perfect. There you go. So that's going to be it for that div there. So we're going to drop down 2 divs, you guys, but we're still inside the form. So we create another div, and in here we're going to have a label that says, get rid of that. And this one's going to say password. Okay. Now inside here, we're going to have a label, or sorry, a div. And in here, we're going to have an input. And this one's going to be password. There we go. And again, we don't need any name or ID. And we're not going to be using any placeholder for that as well. So, but for our Acton, we can say AI fill lock. A little lock symbol there. Perfect. That's what we want right there. Now let's drop down 2 divs, but still inside the form, we need a button to submit our form. And it's going to say sign in, like so. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Make that lowercase. So, all right. So outside of our form here, just outside the form, I'll create a p tag, and it says, don't have an account, question mark. Okay. And then let's just give a link. And in this link, we'll say to. So this is a sign-in page. Don't have an account. We'll say link to sign up. And we say sign up. Boom, just like that. Link is not defined. Let's go ahead and import that, you guys. So, oh, I just deleted it instead. So there we go. Control. Okay. Perfect. Let's go ahead and save. Get rid of these errors. Perfect. So let's go ahead and style this thing. It's going to be pretty quick and easy. So for our styling, we don't need anything in this outside div. We're going to say, let's see here. Give this a class name. We'll say max width, and this is max width. It's going to be 400 pixels. I'm going to say MX auto, so it sits right there in the middle of the page. Min height, and the min height is going to be 600 pixels. There we go. PX4, then PY-20. Okay, so for our H1, we want this to beef it up a little bit. We'll say text 2XL, and then font bold. There we go. Now for our form, we don't really need anything. For this one here, for this div, we're going to say MY4, and we're going to say the same thing on this div here. So class name MY4. That's just above our labels. So we don't need anything for our labels. However, just above this input here, I'm going to make this, give this a class, and we'll say MY2 with full. We want this to be positioned relative, rounded 2XL, and then a shadow -XL. Perfect. Now, and that is for our email. This is looking good so far. Now for our actual input itself, class name, and we're going to come back in here and add in some on-change events in here. So we'll say width full P-2. I'm going to shrink that down some. BG primary border -input rounded 2XL. And what I'm going to do is copy that, and I'm going to paste that in here on this next one. And same for I'm going to have this same text right here, you guys. So, and that's the excuse me, the this div right here is going to be same as right here. So looking good so far. So just to be clear here on our form, nothing there. Then we have a margin of y, which is margin y-axis, which is 4, which is 1 rem. Then nothing on our label, and then MY2, we want the width to be full, relative, rounded, 2XL, shadow XL, and then for our inputs, width full, P-2 for padding of 0.5 rem, background primary, border input, and then 2XL. So everything is looking good there, and we're going to come back and fix all this here in just a minute. So what we need to do is get on our icons here, and we want these icons to sit icons to sit over there off to the right. So we're gonna have to display those absolute. So let's go ahead and come back here, and I'm going to give them both the same class names, and what we're going to say is absolute right -2 top 3, then text gray 400. And there it goes, looking good so far. Now next we probably want to take care of our button here, our sign in button. So give that a class name. We'll say width full, there we go, MY2, padding of 3, BG button text, BTN text, rounded 2XL, then shadow XL, just like that. Perfect. Looks good. Now for this P tag, let's just give it a little bit of margin. It'll say MY4 for 1 rem. And I think that's going to be good, you guys. I think that's going to be good. For this link, we'll just give this link here this little text accent, just so they know it's a link there. Perfect. Refresh. That is looking awesome, you guys. Looking good. And just so you know, everything is fully responsive on mobile devices. This is like an iPhone, so perfect. Look at that, guys. Look at that. Look at that. Looking good. We can actually probably throw that in the middle here. We'll come back and do that later. But that is looking good. So next we want to do the probably want to do the sign up page. And you know what? I'm just going to copy all of this here. So just to make things easier. So I'm just going to copy this entire div there. Okay. And let's just go over to sign up page. There we go. And I'm just going to paste everything in there. So let's go ahead and bring in over our icons and our link while we're at it. Perfect. So a few things we need to change here. We want to change this to sign up. Okay. Come on, change. Oh, when you go to sign up page, sign up. Perfect. And then our button, we want to change to sign up. There we go. And right here, we should probably say something like already have an account. Then we want to change the link to sign in, and we'll just say sign in. So already have an account, click here, sign in, and if we click that, it should route us to the sign in page. Already don't have an account, route us to the sign up page. Awesome, awesome, good job. So next, what I want to do is create our account page. So let's go ahead and jump over to our account page here. So we've already created it. We'll just drop those down. We've already created our account page, but what we want to do is actually go in here and style it here. So I'm just going to change over the URL. Boom, there you go. And we don't have a link here to the account page, and we're going to do some basically display it logically whether or not a user is authenticated or not, because we don't want to display the account link if a user is not authenticated. And we are going to make this a protected route. Okay, so inside here, we're going to have another div here, another div, and then inside we're going to, whoa, let me start over here. So we're going to have a div in here, and then another one, and this is going to have an H1. It's going to say account. Then just below this H1, we're going to say another div here. It's going to p tag. It's going to say welcome. We'll just say user for now. And this is going to be displayed dynamically like we did in the beginning of the video. So drop down 2 divs here, and then what we're going to say, it's going to be a button, and it's going to be, say, sign out. Okay, just a little sign out functionality. And then below that button, we're going to drop down 2 more divs, and we're going to create, this is where we can view our saved coins. So create a div here, and then another div, and inside here, we're going to have watch list or save coins, however you want to say it. And then we're going to have our saved coin in here. So what we can do, if we want to, we can kind of code it all out, but what I'd like to do is kind of just make things a little bit easier. So let's create another component called saved coin.jsx. Perfect. Now RAFCE. Now in here, instead of having putting all our code in here underneath our H1, we can just say saved coin, and that just kind of makes things easier to read and kind of just makes everything a lot nicer. So let's go ahead and do our saved coin in here next. So for our saved coin, we're going to have some icons and some other logic going on whenever we connect our Firebase. But for now, what we want to say is inside this div here, we're going to say p tag, and we're going to say, I'm just going to copy this over so I can just save some money, or save some time. So, okay, there we go. And inside this p tag as well, we're going to have a link. This is going to be to just the home page here. Where's be click here to search coins. Perfect. There we go. Okay, link is not defined. Okay, there we go. Go ahead and save that, and then underneath this this p tag, what we want to do is actually, so we don't want our table to be displayed if we don't have any coins. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is just add in some state here. That way we can go ahead and get some of the logic out the way. So I'm going to say const, and I'm going to say coins, set coins, just like that, equal to use state. And I'm going to set this as an empty array here. So perfect. So let's go ahead and import that so we can get rid of that error. And so what we're going to say here, instead of what we're going to do is just cut all this, right? Just go ahead and cut it and put it on your clipboard, right? So what we're going to say, open up our curly brackets here. If coins.length, so we're checking the length of our array. If it is equal to 0, if that's true, else we're just going to paste that in here. So if the length is equal to 0, we're going to paste that in there. Else, what we want to have down here is a table, and our table is going to display all of our coins. So let's go ahead and create a table, and inside our table we're going to have a table head, just like so, table row, and inside here we're going to table head here is going to be rank number, just like that. And let's just copy this down a couple times. We're going to have coin, and then remove, just like that. Perfect. Okay. And then just below the T head, we're going to have our T body, right? Table body. So we say T body. And in here, we can map through our coins, which we don't have any right now, but we're going to say coins.map coin. Here we go. Okay. And we're going to map through just like we did before with our table row. Okay. And we can give the key coin.id. Okay. There we go. Perfect. And we'll have our table data, and we'll have coin optional chaining here .rank. There we go. So notice if you see here on the right, even though we're coding out our table, we don't have we're only showing you don't have any coins here, and that's because we're doing our turning our operator here, so we're checking the coins.length. And right now the length of our coins is an empty array, and we're saying if the coins.length is equal to 0, then basically just display this. And if it's not 0, then it's going to display that. But since we have it set to 0 right now, that's what it's going to display here. So I wonder, I haven't even tried this, I wonder if we can set something in here. So yeah, there you go. So now it's not 0. You can see that there's some stuff in there. So, but we're going to leave it to 0 for now, so don't worry about that. So coin rank there. Now underneath that, we're going to have another table data here. And this is where we want to have, I want to have a link here so a user can click the coin and go to that coin. So, and in here, the path is going to be coin. But you know, we need to add, let's go ahead and get rid of that. So what we actually want to do are curly brackets, because we're going to use we're going to be using our template literal, if you remember, right? So what we're going to say is /coin/ and then we can use our template literal here. We're going to say coin.id. Okay, so that's what we need to do there. And then inside our link here, we're going to create a div, and this div is going to be like an image. I'm not displaying it right now, but that's fine. Here we're going to have a div here with an image, and this is going to be coin.image. There we go. And we have to use our optional chaining here, otherwise you need to get some errors because we don't have the data yet right now. So this actually doesn't exist, only the coin does. So this doesn't even exist yet. So just below the image, we're going to have another div here, and this is going to have a p tag, and we'll say coin.name. There we go. And then once more, we're going to say coin.symbol.to uppercase. There we go. Perfect. And that is, see, just go down below this link. Below there, we're going to add another table data there. And this is where we're going to have our close here. So we're going to say AI outline close. There we go. So let's make sure that imported here from React Icons. Remember, you have that AI there too. So perfect. So let's go ahead, and that's all we need to do here. Let's go ahead and give this some styling. So for this here, for this coin, I'm gonna give it a cursor pointer just to give a little user experience here. Now, starting from the top, let's go ahead and start here at the top. And I don't really need to style anything. If I want to say here, this link here, that's fine. Let's start with the table here. So give this a class name. We'll say width full, border, collapse, text, center. There we go. Then under table row, let's give the class name, and we'll say border B, just like so. And this first one, we'll say class name px-4. Okay, and now for the coin, for the second one here, we'll say class name text left, and we can do that for the remove as well. So just like that. Perfect. Now for when we're mapping through our coins and we're going to the save coin, if we're mapping through right here, what we want to do for our table row, let's give that a class name. So we're going to say height, whoops. I want to say height, and then we'll say 60 pixels. Overflow hidden. Perfect. Now let's go down to this div here outside of our image, and we'll say flex item center. Now for our image, put this right here. I'm going to say width 8, so it's 2 rem. Margin right 4. Now on this p tag, we don't need any styles for that div there, but on this p tag, coin name, what I want this is to be hidden. Then anything above small, we want to display it, and we'll use display table cell. And for this one here, for the coin symbol, this class name, we'll say text gray 500, text left, and then text small, just like that. Perfect. Good, good. Go and save that so it gets nice and formatted. By the way, I know it's kind of late in the video, but I'm using an extension called Prettier. So yeah, the extension is called Prettier to save everything. I like that extension a lot. It keeps everything nice and neat. So PL-8. That's all we need to do there. So we don't have any coins in here, so we can't really preview what we've done. So don't worry about all that. But next, I think that's all we need to do there. So next, probably what we want to do is go in and we want to make this a protected route, but we can't really do that until we go in and hook up our Firebase backend. But oh yeah, we forgot to style this account page. So let's go ahead and let's just style this real quick, our account page here. So for account here, this outer div, I'm going to give this a class name, and I'm just going to say max width 1140 pixels, and we'll say MX auto. There we go. And then for this next div, there we go. I want to say flex justify. Sorry, we want that to be justify between items center my 12 py-8, and then rounded div there. Let's see how that's looking. Boom, there you go. Looking good so far. Let's just bring this up a bit. Okay, good. Make sure that's looking how we want it to look. Okay, so this next div, we don't need anything. For the H1, I want to say text to XL, font bold. And you know, if you wanted to use set some global styles to all the H1s, H2s, everything like that, then you could probably save some time doing it that way, but this is how I built this one out. So border, and we want to say PX6, PY2, rounded 2XL, shadow dash LG, and then anything above hover, we have the hover selector, 2XL. Perfect. Now let's drop down below that button here. We want to look at this watch list right here. So we're looking at this div right here. We want to say class name flex. We want this to be justify between item center my12 py8, and then a rounded div again there. Perfect. And above the watch list, I'll give this a class name. And for our watch list, we'll say width full, min height, I want to say 300 pixels is the minimum height there. And then for our H1 here, let's give it another class name, text to XL, font bold, and then PY4. Perfect. That is looking good, you guys. All right, let's go ahead and just have a look real quick. Nice, nice. So we're gonna give this a sign out functionality, and everything is looking clean. All right, you guys, let's drop this down some. So next, what I want to take care of is the Firebase Authentication and Firestore database. It's their cloud storage, and we're gonna set up the back end for this thing. So we'll go ahead and get to that right now. Okay, so now we are setting up our Firebase backend for authentication and cloud storage. So what I'm going to do is just bring down this browser right here. And what this is, firebase.google.com. So this is where I want you to go, firebase.google.com. Now go ahead and get started. This is 100% free, guys. You do have to have a Google account, but that is all that's required. So what we're going to do is just add a new project. And this project, call it whatever you want. I'm just going to call it Crypto Base, just like that. So go ahead and click Get Started. And I'm not going to enable this for now. We don't need that. Go ahead and create project. Now, what this is doing is just creating your dashboard for Firebase. So this is pretty quick. It should only take a moment, you guys. So our next step in here is going to be we're going to set up our a context for Firebase. Okay, and that's going to be really useful for us. So okay, go ahead and click continue. Okay, cool. So this is the dashboard for Firebase. This is what we're looking at, and what we want to do to go ahead and just get started, we need to add our app to Firebase. So go ahead and click this web button right there, and we're just going to say crypto app, just like that. Go ahead and register the application. And okay, what it wants us to do is install Firebase into our project. So I'm going to use, you can use npm if that's what you're doing, but I'm using yarn, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to drop that down a little bit, and in here I'm going to say yarn add Firebase. There you go. Just copy that over identically if you're using npm. So now that we're creating Firebase, what we're going to want to do is actually create a Firebase file, and what we're going to put that is just inside our source folder. So we'll drop this down just for the time being, and inside our source folder I'm going to create a file called firebase.js. okay, and this is what we're going to want to have inside our Firebase folder here, or inside our Firebase file. So what we can do is just copy all of this right here. Just click that button. Boom, there we go. And we can copy that in there. Now, these are keys that you do not want to give out to the public. In fact, if you guys try and use these, they're not going to work, because I'm going to close down this file. I'm going to close this project after I do the video. So don't copy my keys. Make sure you get your own. And what you're gonna want to do is actually put them in a .env file that hides them. So we can actually go ahead and do that as well. So let's go ahead, and in here we're going to create a .env file, just like so. And I'm going to put this I don't want this inside our source folder. I want it in the root folder there. Okay. And what I'm going to do here, in the .env file, what we can say here, we're going to say react app, and this is what you want to do if we're going to be deploying this. Okay, so API key, like so, and just like that. And the next one's going to be react. Just copy this over identically, this part, not the keys. So Firebase Auth domain, just like that. And next we'll have react app Firebase. I'm going to copy that so I save some time. Project ID, and this one's going to be storage bucket, and then this one's going to be messaging sender, just like so, and then we'll have a just underscore ID, just like that. Okay. Boom, there we go. Now let's go into Firebase, and what we're going to do is just going to grab these keys, just like that. So I'm going to copy that one, and I'm going to paste that right here. You don't need to put it in quotes or anything like that. In fact, it won't work. So just copy it directly, just like that. Perfect. Okay. And like I said, this is a you have to do this if you're going to upload this and host it. So I mean you don't have to, it'll still work, but you don't want to give out your keys for the world to see. So that would be bad news. So all right, so now what we can do inside since we're done with the .env file, what we can do, we can just get rid of this here, get rid of that, and what we're going to paste in here, let's see, we can say react app Firebase API key, just like so. Now I'm going to go ahead and copy that just to save some time, and this one's going to be auth domain. There we go. This one is going to be the project ID. This one's going to be storage bucket. This is going to be messaging sender. And the final one is ID, just like that. So go ahead and save there. We should not have any errors. Now, next, a few things we need to do here. I'm going to bring this open a little bit. That's all we need to do there. Perfect. So let's continue to the console. I'm going to open this up a bit. Now, first, we want to go to the authentication. Okay. And so to use authentication, let's go ahead and click Get Started. And in here, there's all different ways to authenticate with Firebase. I have a video if you want to authenticate with a Google account. I'll put a link to that video in the description below. In this video, however, we're just going to want users to be able to sign up with a new email and password. So go ahead and click Enable on that one. There we go. That's all we need to do there. So if you click on our users, this is our users table. It's empty right now. There's nobody there. So what we can do, I want you to click on Go to Docs. And what this does is just kind of give you some documentation on how to use Firebase. And the documentation is really, really great. There's a lot of really good information in here. So I recommend you read over it if you're interested in it. So we can go to that web and get started. And what we need to do, and actually says here in our project here, import the functions you need from the SDKs. So I'll just follow along with that right there. So what I want to do here, I'm going to get this out of the way. So what I want to do is in here, we're going to add in the SDKs that we're going to use. And what we're going to use in this project is the Auth and also Firestore. So let's import. Well, we can get rid of that caps lock there. What we're going to do is get Auth from Firebase /Auth, just like that. And then we're also going to be using get Firestore. And Firestore is their, basically they're just cloud storage. Firebase /Firestore. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. And then down here, what we can do, we need to export const auth equals to get auth app. There we go. And then we also need to export const db equal to get Firestore app. There we go. And we can just export. There we go. So go ahead and save that, and we can actually close this down. Just remember, we're importing get auth and get Firestore. And again, don't use my keys, please. Use your own keys, okay? So let's go ahead and we can close the .env, and we can close this firebase.js. And next what we want to do, so let's go to our context folder, okay? And inside our context folder is where we're going to have all our logic for signing in and signing up new users. So let's create another context here. And this context, I'm going to call it auth context.jsx, just like that, okay? And in here, we need to import a few things. So we're going to import the create context. We're going to be using the use context, the use state, just importing all our hooks here, and also the use effect, like so. Perfect. Give some room here. And then also what we're going to import is from our Firebase folder or file, auth and db, and these are what we just exported. So that's going to be from Firebase. There we go. Now we need to get from Firebase /auth, we need to import a few things that we're going to need here. What we're going to need is create, and in fact, I'm just going to put this here from, that way it kind of recommends what we're looking for. So we need the create user and email with password. We need the sign in with email and password. We're going to need the sign out. And what we're also going to need is the on auth state change. Okay. Now, once we have all of those, we're also going to need some things from Firestore. So we're going to need the doc and also the set doc. There we go. From Firebase Firestore. Normally I would do the auth at once and then come back and do the Firebase, the Firestore next, but I know this is going to be quite a long video, so I didn't want to draw it out further than it has to be. So I'll try and explain everything as I'm going as well. So right now we're just setting up our context, okay? So when we say const, user context is what I'm going to call this. User context equal to create context. There we go. Then we're going to say export const auth context provider. I'm just going to take in children. This is the arrow function. And in here, what we want to say const sign up. This is a sign up function we're creating. And it's going to take in two things, an email and also a password. It's going to be an arrow function. And then once we want to do this, we want to create email with user and password, pass in the auth, email, and password, just like that. And then want to return set doc db, and then users email. And then we're going to create an empty array called watch list. We set that as an empty array. So go ahead and save that, you guys. And what we're doing here, so we're signing up as a new user with the email and password function straight from Firebase. And then as soon as it signs up a new user, it's going to automatically create a database in the Firestore, which is our database server, right? So it's automatically going to create a new user there, and it's going to create within that user watch list as an empty array. And this empty array is where we're going to store our coins that we want to hold on to. Okay, so outside of this, we're also going to want to have a sign in. So we'll say const sign in. We're going to pass email and password, just like that. And in here, we just want to return sign in with email and password, and we have to say auth, email, password. So we don't need to do anything with the database because we don't want any changes to our database whenever a user signs in, just when they sign up. So that's all we need to do for the sign in. Now we want to have a logout capabilities here. So we'll say log const. You can call this, I'll say log out, and we don't need to pass anything in here. And in here, we just want to return the sign out. We do want to pass in auth for there. Now, for our on auth state change, basically we want to check whenever a user signs in, we want to check to see if the user is authenticated or not. And we're going to do that with the on auth state change. So we're actually going to have some state in that. So let's just put our state up here at the top. So what I'm going to say is const, and we're just going to say user and set user, and we're going to set it to an empty object. Okay, so we'll say const user set user. Let's go to use state, and we'll just set that as an empty object. Now down here, we're going to wrap this in a use effect, and we only want this to run once. So we're going to add in our dependency array. So we'll just add that in right here. Now inside this use effect, we're going to say const unsubscribe on auth state change. That's going to take auth, and then it's going to take an arrow function with the current user being passed in. Then we're going to set the user to current user, just like that. And then down here, we want to return an arrow function, unsubscribe, just like that. Okay, perfect. And then down here at the bottom, still within our on auth text provider, this is where we want to return our user context dot provider. That's going to have a value, and it's going to take in our children. So and for the value, what we want to pass in here, what we want to pass in here is the sign up, the sign in, the log out, and user. Okay, so go ahead and save, and then down here we can export const user auth, and then return use context, user context. Okay, so I hope we have all that in there correctly. So what we want to do now is go over to the sign up page, and let's try and create a new user here. So we're going to have to do a few things to our sign up page. So let's go over to routes, sign up. There we go. So inside of our sign up page, what we're going to want to do is we need access to our auth. So which I forget, we need to actually surround our entire application in this, just like we did with our theme auth or theme context. So let's go into our app.js, and we'll do this just below a theme provider. We'll just say auth context provider, just like that. There we go. And this, we can just move it all the way down, and we'll put it just below our footer. So go ahead and save, and let's go ahead and make sure everything is defined. There it is. So React app Firebase.js. So let's go into our Firebase.js and see what's going on here. So I forgot to add something very, very important here. So what we're going to do is just select this. We have to say process.env dot, there we go. And there we go. Yeah, that should take care of that. Invalid API key. So I want to make sure app ID process.env react app Firebase underscore. Here it is. App ID, and let's see here. I believe that should be app ID. Now let's check our. I'm gonna check our env file. Auth invalid API key. What did we do here? Sorry. Just a moment, you guys. So I want to make sure we have our API key here. That looks good. Firebase, make sure there's no misspellings. API key. Then we have our auth domain, project ID, storage bucket, message sender. You know what? I think we just need to close our server. So let's stop our server and start it back up. I think you have to do that whenever you use a .env file. So let's go ahead and give that another shot. Just go ahead and close that. All right, there we go. So no errors there. So that's looking good. Let's go to our sign up page. Let's go ahead and close this auth context. I think we're done with that for now. So let's go into our sign up page here. And inside our sign up page, what we're going to do is actually add in a few things. So we have our auth context surrounding our entire application. That looks good. We're not getting any errors. So inside of our sign up route here, what we need to do is import user auth, just like that. We'll say from context auth context. There we go. Perfect. Now we have access to the user, and what we want to say in here, we're going to have some state in here, but we'll say const, we'll say sign up, it's camel case, user auth, just like so. Boom, there we go. Okay, so we want to have some state for our email and password, and also we're going to set some errors. We'll do some error handling. So in here, let's go ahead and give const equal to use state, and we'll set this to an empty string. We'll copy that down a little bit, and this one in here, we'll say email and set email. This one's going to be password, set password, and we'll have error and set error, just like that. Boom, there we go. Perfect. That's what we want right there. And also we're going to use a navigate from React Router DOM. So what I want you to say here, and we actually import it on this line here. So use navigate. And what this is going to do, whenever a user signs up or logs in, instead of just staying on that page, it's going to go ahead and redirect them to the route that we choose. So what we can say down here, we'll say const navigate equal to use navigate. Just like that. Okay. So go ahead and save. There we go. So let's go down to our email and password here, because we're going to add some state to our email or add an on click event, on change event to our email and our password. So let's come down in here. And what I want to add also is our error. So let's just add our error underneath here. So we have our error state. What we'll say is if error is true, then we're gonna have this p tag here, else null there. So, and inside this error, we're just gonna say error, and let's give this a class name. And for this error class name, what we're gonna say is bg red 300 p3 and my2. There we go. All right. So we'll see if that pops up if we get an error here, which let's see. Nothing yet. We haven't submitted everything. So let's go into our input here. And this is our email input. Okay. So what I'm going to say for email input on change. And for our on change, we're going to take in an event. And then we're just going to set email to event target value, just like that. And I'm just going to copy that because we're going to come down here to our password. And I'm just going to paste that in. But instead of email, we'll just set password, just like so. Okay. And then for our form, we can either add this on the button or the form, but I'm going to do it on the form. And where's our form? There we go. And what we can say here is on submit, we want to run a function, and I'm going to call this function handle submit, which we don't have the function yet, but we're going to go ahead and create that right now. So let's go up here and we'll just put our function right here. And it's going to be an arrow function const, and we just named it handle submit, just like that. And this is actually going to be an asynchronous function. So all we need to do to make it asynchronous is just say async. And it's going to take in event. There we go. And what I want to say is I actually don't want the page to be reloaded. So what we can say is e.prevent default, just like that. Okay. And then next, what we're going to do is set the error to an empty string, and we're going to have a try catch block. Okay. So we'll say try, then catch, and what we want to catch is error. We'll just say e, and we'll say set error to e.message. And we can also console.log this as well. There we go. So in here, in our try block, what we're going to say is await sign up, and we have access to this because we're importing it from our context there. And we'll just say email password. And let's see if this does anything here. So let's go ahead and refresh, and I'm going to drop this down. So just so we can see, I'm going to move this over, and let's go back to here. I'm going to close that. Let's go to our authentication. Yeah, we're already there. So refresh, and we have an empty table here, no users in there. So let's, fingers crossed, we'll see if we can do anything here. So test@test.com, password, go ahead and hit submit. And it looks like we're getting the user. Firebase error, auth email already in use. So I actually hit it twice. Okay, so that's what happened. I hit it twice. I hit submit and then do anything. So let's just do it again one more time here. I'm just going to delete this. It did work. I just want to show you how it works properly here. So again, you can see we just refreshed. We've deleted the users. Our table is empty. So I'm going to say test@test.com. Password is going to be our user. Now go ahead and hit enter. And our form doesn't reload, but that's okay. We're going to take care of that in a minute. So if we refresh over here, you see we have a user in our Firestore database. We have to create database here. So yes. We're going to start in test mode there. Okay. And you might have to change some settings here once you go to production here. So, but that's fine. In this case, we'll just use test mode here. So I probably should have done this beforehand because I wanted this to create, I'm not sure if it probably didn't create a user. Yeah. So, okay. So let's go ahead and do this one more time because I want to ensure that not only does it, not disable, delete, not only does it create our user here, but we want it to automatically create a a file here, or a user's document here with my user email and then the watch list array, which is what we did in our context form, if you remember. So let's just try one more time. We just refreshed. There's nobody in the database. So test@test.com, and then we're going to try again. I'm going to say password's his password because he's super secretive. Go ahead and hit submit. So we have our user in Firestore. We should have a user with a test and watch list. Awesome. Smash that like button, you guys. I know you get value out of this. I hope you like it so far. We're getting there. We're almost done. I know it's been a long video. Thanks for following along. So if you've made it this far, so great. Now we'd probably like to have a sign out functionality, because that would probably make some sense. So let's go in and take care of that next. Let's go into our account page here, and in our account page we're going to add the sign out functionality. And so in the account page, what we need to do is import, and what we need to import is just the user auth from our auth context. Perfect. Now in here, what we're going to say is const user log out equal user auth right there, and we'll say const navigate, and let's bring that in as well. So that's going to be from React Router DOM. Okay. So in here, what we're going to say was create our function first this time, const, and we'll say handle sign out, just like there. There we go. And this is going to be an asynchronous function as well. And it's going to have a try catch block. We'll say catch any errors, and we'll say console.log error.message. There we go. So in here, we want to await. We'll say log out. There we go. And we want it to navigate to the home page. So what we're saying here is whenever I'm going to go ahead and go to our account page, and right now we're logged in, and we don't have any protected route set up or anything right now. So right now we are logged in. And hey, while we're at it real quick, let's just go ahead and we'll get rid of this here. And what we're going to say is user.email. Okay, so user optional chaining. And now that should say welcome, because you can now tell that we are logged in. Perfect. And okay, so what we want to do here, let's find wherever our logout button is, or sign out button, and we're just going to attach this function to it. So where is our button? Here it is. So on our button, we'll have on click, and whenever we click this button, we just want to run the handle sign out. Okay. So, and it should redirect us to the home page. So let's give it a shot. And hey, there you go. Perfect, perfect, perfect. That's what we want right there. And in fact, let's make sure if we go back to our account page, it's not protected, so we can go back, but as you can see, it does not display our email, so you know we're not logged in. Okay, so next, let's do the, I need to stop doing that. I press Control P over here, and that's where I can search for files. So that's why I keep bringing it up over here. I'm selected on my browser when I hit Control P. So just a little shortcut there. So what we want to do is go into sign in, and it's going to be the same thing, just like we did on our sign up. So let's go and import our sign in. It's going to be context, and our user is our auth context. Okay. Now in here, what we're going to say is const sign in user auth. It needs to be uppercase. Perfect. And we're going to do the same thing in here. Let's go into our sign up, and let's just copy all this right here. So let's copy all of that, because we're going to have an email password error in our navigating. So, and let's go ahead and just copy down this function as well, because it's going to be the same thing. We'll just change handle submit's going to be the same. All this is going to be the same, but instead of sign up, we want to sign in. We're still going to take in the email and password. We still want to throw the error. It's going to be an asynchronous function, try catch block. That's everything we need right there. So for our input over here, let's just go ahead and say on change here, on change, and in here we'll just take an event, be arrow function, and we want to set email to target value, and let's just do the same thing for our password. Okay, perfect. Now for our form, not a class name, sorry. On submit, we'll run the handle submit. So go ahead and save that. Looks like we're getting some errors here. Yeah, we just need the use state to be imported. So let's do that one. And then also use navigate here. So use navigate. Perfect. So let's cruise on over to our sign in. We need to have this closed whenever we click on a button. So no, we'll come back and fix that. So for our sign in page, we should, and you know what, for our, we need to use the navigate here. So let's go back and do this for our sign up as well. So whenever we sign up, let's navigate to, you can go to the sign in page, you can go to the account page. We'll just say account page, just like so. Okay. So, and let's say that for in sign in as well. So right now, whenever we sign in, we should be navigated to the account page. So let's see how this works. So hopefully it should work here. So let's just refresh, and I'm going to say test at test.com is our user that we just created, and his password was password. Now there we go. No, I don't want to save anything. And there you go. So we are now logged in, perfect, and we have our sign out capabilities here. So that is awesome, you guys. Doing great so far. What I want to do in the, see here. So we need to have in our save coin file, we need to do some things. Then also let's go into our, tell you what, let's go into our navbar first. Okay. And in our navbar, if we open this up just a little bit here, in our navbar, right now we're logged in, so let's just go ahead and sign out. And this is how I want it to, what I want to say when I'm signed out. However, whenever a user is signed in, I actually want this to, I want to display something different there. So I'm just going to go ahead and see how we want this to display. You know what? Let's just do it. I don't want to waste any more time here. So for our navbar, we're going to need to import our auth, right? So let's import. We'll say user auth. There we go. And that looks good. And what we want to do here is just under here, we'll say const. That's fine. Const, and we'll say user, and we need the logout, and that's equal to user auth method. There we go. And we're going to want to do the navigate, because whenever we log out from anywhere, we're going to want to redirect as well. So looks good right there. So we probably need to import, use navigate. So see if we can import that from React Router DOM. Make sure it gets imported up there. And let's go to our account page, because we can actually just copy that over, this handle sign out. So let's just go ahead and copy that, go into our navbar, and we'll just put this right there like so. And for our, where's our sign out button? Okay, so we didn't add one yet. So what we want to do here is in fact at just underneath our theme toggle. So right here is where we want to change. Okay, so this div right here, what I want you to do is go ahead and just select all of this here, this whole div, and this includes both the links, and let's just go ahead and cut that out so there's nothing there. And what we're going to do is just give a little bit of space. We're going to open up our curly brackets, and we're going to use our ternary operator, and what we're going to say is user.email. If user email is true, if it's valid, we're going to have this, else we're going to have this over here, and this one is the login side, right? And over, dang it, hate that pop-up. And in here, what we're going to say, and this is if a user is logged in, this is where we're going to have our account page here. So in here, what we can say, I'm just going to save that. So in here, what we're going to say is we're going to have a link to account, and this is just going to say account, and we'll have a button here that says sign out. And this is where we're going to put our on click. We want to run the handle sign out that we just created right here. Okay. And let's just go ahead and we'll give this right here, this p tag, or sorry, this link, which is a p tag here. We'll just give it a class name and just p-4. So to give it just a little bit of padding. So let's go ahead and refresh that, ensure that we're not getting any errors. Now what we want to do is sign in here. So test@test.com. Let's go ahead and sign in with his super secretive password, which is password. We redirected, and now you can see up here, since we're authenticated, since we're logged in, you can now have the account page. And it doesn't matter where we're at. And then once we sign out, it should redirect us to the home page, and this should change back. So let's just try that out. Boom. There you go. Awesome. You guys, this is awesome. We're almost done, you guys. So hope you're liking this value here. A couple more things, what we want to do, whenever we click this, we want this to actually change to a filled in star, and then that's how we want to add this button to our account page. So I'm going to go ahead and leave us signed in for now. So let's just go ahead and sign back in. Okay. Yeah, no. Okay, so, and this is where they're going to appear. So to do that, we can close our navbar and our account. What we're going to want to do is go to the coin item page, and inside the coin item page is where we're going to set everything up here. So inside here in our coin item, what we're going to want to do is import our user auth like so. Now, and a couple more things here. We're going to want to import DB, and this is coming from our Firebase file. Then we're going to want to import, and this is array union doc, and this is how we're updating an array and modifying our array. So this is all Firebase right here. And we're bringing that in from Firestore. Just like so. So go ahead and save that. That's what we want to do. Now, so in our coin item, what we're going to want to do is save, and this isn't our coin item, but let's just go ahead in here. So what we're going to want to do here in the coin item, we're going to want to have some state. So let's give const, we'll say saved coin, set saved coin, like so. Equal to use state, and this is going to give a false as a default Boolean value here. And then we're going to have const user, and this is going to be equal to user auth, just like so. Perfect. Okay, so yeah, use state. Yeah, let's go ahead and import that. Perfect. Okay, so now what we want to do is actually be able to save a coin. And so what we're going to add in now is the logic from Firebase to save the coin. So what we're going to give this a const. I'm going to say coin path equal to doc, and it's going to say db users, and this is the file path where it's saving our file. And we want to save this as user specific data. For example, if I log in on my account, you don't need to see what coins I'm looking, and vice versa. So the way we're going to do that, users, we want to pass in here, we're using our backticks, okay? So we use our template literal with our $sign here and our curly brackets. We'll just say user email with the optional chaining there. And then next, we want to say const save coin, and this is going to be our arrow function. It's going to be an asynchronous function here. And so let's just go ahead and make that asynchronous. And what we're going to say in here, we're going to check to see if the user is valid, right? So we're basically seeing if this is true. We want to set the saved coin to true, okay? And this is gonna, we'll come back and see why we're doing that. Then we want to await update doc, and this is gonna be coin path is what we just set up here, coin path. Then we'll say watch list. Remember, that's the watch list that we created whenever a new user signs up. And we'll say array union, and then open up parentheses in our curly brackets, and in here we want the ID to be saved as coin.id. Then we want the name to be coin.name, and then we want the image. We're going to save the image as well, coin.image. And this is the file path, or the API path right here. And these are the values that we're giving it, that we want to store it as. So hope that makes sense. Coin.market cap rank, and then we want to have the symbol. It's coin.symbol, just like that. And then just below here, so if the user email is true, we want to execute this code here. Else we want to set some sort of alert, and we can just have that alert say, please sign in to save a coin to your watch list. So let's save that. And a couple more things here we want to do. Like I said, I want to change this little star here. I want to use another star whenever we save it. So what I want you to do is scroll down just right here, and what I can do, just cut that out, okay? And we'll use our curly brackets, and what we want to say is save coin is true. We want to run this AI outline, or sorry, AI fill star, else, and then just paste this AI outline star. So let's go ahead and import that. There it goes. Now on this table data right here, we'll just set the on click here. So on click, and on the click we want to run this function that we just created, this save coin function. So we'll just run save coin. Now before we actually try this, so whenever we click on this, when run this function, whenever we click on this table data, it's going to run our function save coin, and what that's going to do is set save coin to true, which we know right here, if this is true, it's going to change the star to fill. If it's false, it's going to be the empty star. So, but what I want to do is get our database open here, just so we can see. Let's go to our Firestore database. So as you can see, we have a 0 watch list here. And if we go to our account, you can now see that, there we go. We're gonna have to change this up here. I just noticed that. So let me just change that real quick. So let's see here. We'll come back and change it later. So that's looking good. That's fine for now. But what I wanted to do is actually change this to the home and account right there. So we'll come back for that in a moment. But right now I want to see, let's get on the right one here. So we are signed in and we have no saved coins. So what we're going to do is come back here. Let's see if we can save Bitcoin, and this should, there you go. And let's check our account. Oh, we don't have any saved coins in our account. Oh, that's because we haven't even set that up yet. So great. So now you can see we are saving our coin in our database correctly. So pat yourself on the back for that one. But yeah, now it'd be nice to actually see our coin on the front end as well, right? So let's go ahead and go into our saved coin. Okay, and inside our saved coin, we need to do a few things here. So at the top, what we're going to want to import is doc on snapshot and update doc, because we're going to be able to delete things here too. And we're getting this from Firestore, so Firebase/Firestore. Then what we're going to want to do is import db from Firebase. There we go. And we want access to our user auth. There we go. And that looks good for now. Okay, so inside here, let's come down to our save coin. So we have some state there, and that's good. We're going to keep that there. Also, we want to initialize our user. There we go. Now we're going to have a use effect, and we want this use effect. We can fire it off whenever an email changes. So we'll say use effect. Let's go ahead and import that. And we don't need to pass anything in here, but what we want to say is, I'm just going to go ahead and add my dependency array. But on snapshot, and this is just Firebase here, on snapshot, we're going to say doc db, users, and we're just trying to access our file here. Optional chaining there, or sorry, the template literal here. What we're going to say is user.email. We're taking an arrow function here that we're passing in doc, and we'll say set coin. So now we're actually changing our state. We're adding our state here to doc.data.watch list. Okay, there we go. And save coin. Let's just refresh there. Perfect. Cannot read properties of undefined watch list. We may need to add in some optional chaining. That's fine though. But real quick, what I want to do is actually add in a delete coin function as well. So we want to be able to delete the coin. But let's go ahead, and we're going to need to add in. Okay, so that's it. You just need to add in some optional chaining there. So let's go ahead and refresh. Oh no, what are we getting here? Cannot read properties of undefined. So let's see here. Let's add in this user email. That's probably not going to make a difference here, but is that it? Hey, there we go. Okay, that's perfect. So thanks for bearing with me here. So I know it's a long build. Okay, so in here we have our coin, and in fact, let's just go save another coin just to make sure it works. You can see it down here, just populated in the background, and we go to our account. You now have 2 coins. Cool. So what we want to do is be able to delete this and remove it from our database. So let's go ahead and set that up next, and we're going to put that right here just below the use effect. And kind of similarly to what we did with the other coin, we're going to do the same thing here. So, but just a little bit differences. So we'll say const coin path, just like we did before, and that's going to be doc db, and then we're saying users, and we're going to use our backticks, so we can use a template literal, and we'll say user dot email, just like that. Now I said doc, we need this to be doc. There we go. Now const, I'm going to say delete coin. This will be an asynchronous function. And what we want to do is pass in, we'll say past ID. Something like that. Past ID is be fine. So in here, we're going to say try, and then let's see, we want to say const result, and you actually can't do this on the Firebase side, so you have to do this on the front end, and then kind of basically what we're going to do is take the entire array, we're going to manipulate the array, we're going to remove the item that we want to remove, and then we're going to push it entirely back to Firebase. So that's how we have to do that here. And so that's what we're doing with this result here. So we're saying coins.filter, and we're going to take in the item. That's going to be item.id, past ID, just like that. Then we'll say await update doc coin path, and we'll say watch list. We'll just set that to the result. So what we're saying here, I'll go back over it here in just a minute, and we'll have our catch here. Perfect. No errors. Let's just refresh. So just to be clear, like I just said, Firebase, you can't delete the document on Firebase directly. So what it wants us to do is actually get our array here, put it in this result, and we need to filter it and just kind of remove our past ID, and then push it back to Firebase. But how do we need to get our past ID? So what we need to do is go down to our where we're going to have our delete function here, or where we're going to call it. So let's go down to the AI outline close, and this is the button where we want to remove our coin. Okay, so on our icon itself, what we're going to say is on click, and we want to run a function. It's just going to be an arrow function here, and delete coin, but we want to pass in the coin.id. So let's go ahead and save that, and believe that's all we need for now. So as you can see, refresh, we have these coins in here as they are here. Let's refresh and they're still there. Now let's go ahead and delete this, and it should be deleted. Let's make sure it works properly. Hey, there you go. And now if we delete this coin, it updates in our database as well. There you go. Smash that like button, you guys. I know we're getting some value out of this here now, so hope you like what we've done so far. We just need to take care of a few more things, just a few final touches here. So let's take care of those next. Okay, so for the final touches, I just want to take care of a few things here. For example, down here, I want this to be shot off over to the side over here. So let's go into our coin page, and let's see, justify. Looks like I think I just spelled that wrong. There we go. Perfect. So I like that right there. That looks good. And so this dark mode down there, let's go into the footer and get rid of that there. So for our footer in here, what are we looking for? Dark mode here. Yeah, there we go. These are just typos it looks like I've been making. So that looks good there. We are signed in right now. So yeah, I want this navbar to close whenever we click on a link. As you can see, we're changing routes, but we're not closing navbar, and that's not cool. So let's go into navbar here, and for our mobile menu, here we go. On this link here, actually on the we're going to put this on the list item is where we want to put it. You can't put it on the link here. So for our list item, what we want to have here is, we'll say on click. We just want to run the handle nav, because whenever we click something, we want it to close. So, or at least on this one here, and see on this one. Nav, and I'm just going to copy this and handle nav. We're going to display this on the sign in and sign up as well. So there we go. Okay. So let's go ahead and save. Perfect. So now we click there. There we go. Perfect. Perfect. Looking good, you guys. Looking good. Goes to our, oh, it's not going. Change that. So we go to our account page. We are getting there. I misspelled that one as well. You probably seen that the whole time. There we go. Perfect account. Let's go to coin search because I botched that spelling. There we go. Search crypto. Everything works. Perfect. Look at this. Yeah. Dark mode. There we go. Yeah, there we go. All right, you guys. So let's go ahead, and everything is looking good. What I want to do next is, if you guys want to host this thing, so let's go ahead and set up some hosting. Let's do that. We'll do that right now. Okay, so one more thing before we move on to hosting. Right now, we can go into our account page and everything works properly. However, if we sign out and we still try to go to our account page, we have access to it. And uh-oh, something's going on here. So you cannot read properties of undefined. So, and this is in the saved coin. Let's go to the saved coin. It looks like we probably just need to maybe add some optional chaining here. And let's refresh. Now we're looking at cannot read email, saved coin, line 16. Oh, there we go. Okay. So let's see if that fixed it all. Still having an issue length, and there we go. This is why I like to go back through things here. Map, oh my gosh. Okay, so let's go down here. Now, there we go. Okay, so this is our account page as we just saw, and we don't want to, basically, we don't want to see anything in here when we're not logged in. So how do we do that? So let's go and we want to make this a protected route. So what we can do, let's go into our account page. We can go and save that. And let's go into our account page. And what we're going to do, we already have access to the user, imported the user auth from our context. What we can say down here, we're just going to have an if statement, and we'll say just if user, just like that. Then we can just move all this return right there. We'll just cut that and paste it right in there. So if user is true, return this. Else, whoops, move this down. Else, let's just return, and what we're going to use is navigate. So navigate just like that, and we need to import that from React Router DOM. So make sure that is imported just like that, and we can just say to, and let's just redirect to the sign-in page. So go ahead and save that so it gets nice and formatted here. We'll give it a refresh, and I'm just going to open up this just a little bit. So let's try and we'll shrink this down so we can go to the account page here. So let's go over to the account page, and we're not logged in. So what it should do is just redirect us to the sign-in page, and let's just sign in test@test.com. And I just want to make sure everything is working properly. Perfect. And we can go ahead and save a coin, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Okay, perfect, you guys. That's what we want so far. So, all right, for the final step, let's move on to hosting. All right, so to deploy this thing, what we're going to do this with Firebase, and we're going to do this in our CLI. Okay, so let's go ahead and just clear this out. Okay, and in here, we're going to run a few things here. So I already have the Firebase tools installed, and what you need to do is probably type npm you install this globally, Firebase-tools, just like that, but I already have it installed, so no need for me to do that. Once you have that installed, that'll allow you to use the Firebase CLI. So we're going to use the Firebase command, Firebase login, just like that. And what that's going to do is go ahead and log you in. And I'm already logged in. There we are. So next thing we need to do is Firebase init. So this might take just a minute, or maybe not at all. So I'm going to open this up some so we can see what we're doing here. There we go. And drop that down. And what we want to do here is, come back over here. So we're looking for hosting, okay? And we want to get this one right here, hosting configure files for Firebase hosting, and that's what we want right there. So go ahead and hit the space bar so you can select it, and go ahead and hit enter. And I'm going to be using an existing project, so we'll go ahead and hit enter once more. And this is CryptoBase. This is what we just created. This is the project. Don't worry about any of these other ones. And so go ahead and hit yes. Now in here it says, this is very important, what do you want to use as your public directory? And we're using React, so what we need to do is run a build. So we're going to want to run the build right there. So go ahead and type build, hit enter, and rewrite all this. We can just say yes, say no. There we go, and this gives us a beautiful little thing it did there. So there we go. Now all we need to do is we'll type yarn run build. We need to build our project, yarn run build, and what that's going to do is create this build folder with a whole lot of code in here that you're not going to be able to read. So it's still creating it right now. So it's just going just a little bit slow since I'm recording. And you never want to alter any of the files in your build folder. What it's going to do, it would probably just break your application and nothing would work properly. So always keep this folder closed, because you're not going to need to use anything in there. So in fact, you can see the static CSS and JS, and this is your file. This is your application right here. All this code is what you just built. So you definitely don't want to mess with any of that. So let's go ahead and keep that build folder closed like so. And next, all we need to do is deploy this thing. So we'll just say Firebase deploy, and hopefully this will deploy our application. Fingers crossed. Let's see how it goes. So deploy complete. This is your console hosting URL. So let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and select that. There we go. And let's paste it in here, you guys. Please work. Hey, there you go. Look at that. And that's why we used, look at that. Awesome. Look at that. Boom. And this is live, you guys. I'm going to put this link in the description below. So that concludes our build. If I skipped over anything or if I went too fast, please let me know in the comments below. Do me a favor and hit that like button, and consider subscribing to my channel. I'm going to be putting out some more React content just like this, some Next.js, some Firebase, whatever you guys want to see. Please let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for following along. It's been a long one today, so I really sincerely appreciate you following along with me. Thanks for everything you've done, and let's end right there. So thanks for everything, you guys. I'll see you on the next one.